you go.
Yeah. Let's take it back. That's right, motherfuckers. Apostate Radio. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Here you go again. Here you go again. This is gonna be a normal. This is gonna be a normal thing with you, ain't it?
It's like we're on like episode 20, man. What do you think?
I mean, this is 17. We up to 17 now.
Oh, is that right?
I mean, this
is part of the tradition, man. You got to loosen up the guests. Got to be a little silly. People got to hear my beautiful voice, my golden voice.
This is true. You know? Oh Lord, look at the first commenter. Look who it is.
Ooh.
That's first commenter. That's John. Yeah, no, I'm saying, oh shoot, it's my man's. Is that what it is? We your man's now, Josh. All right, Chris Olin.
Behave yourself, Josh.
Still waiting on that album.
Oh, I got an album for you.
Oh shit! Look at it. Hi, Poppy. Yeah.
Que rico. Está riquísimo.
Oh my God, this is going swimmingly. Greetings to all of you out there, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. We are back with yet another championship episode of Apostate Radio. We are in that way, we are actually quite opposite from the Knicks. Okay, then that kind of landed with a thud. But anyways, I am Isaiah Carter. Yes, I was a Knicks bandwagoner for about 30 seconds.
Me too. Me too. Yo, Brunson's nice though, man. Brunson's legit.
Brunson is nice, but that dude, Halliburton. Yo, there's something's not right with that guy.
I'm from Cleveland, man. He got us too, bro. He got us too.
So. He did.
Yeah, we got us.
I'm coming to you from the boogie down uptown, and of course coming from the land of a Pete's. Somewhere
way uptown.
Way uptown. Right. You got. Yeah, if you're coming from New York City, you actually have to pay a toll to go up and see him. So that would be Mr. Nostra Chavez. What's good, brother? How are you?
I'm doing great, doing better now, man. I love talking to you guys. I'm having a good time already.
Excellent. And before we get to introducing our esteemed guest, who I am truly honored to have on the show, I just want to do a quick little bit of business and just say you can follow us on all of the socials at Isaiah L. Carter and also at Nostra Chavez. Our show's page is Apostate Radio NY, and also if you wish to donate to our show and support us monetarily, you can of course do so at buymeacoffee.com/apostate radio. Want to give a quick shout out to those of you who are joining us on Kick. This is our first broadcast ever on Kick. And so you can find us there at Apostate Radio 52. So Apostate Radio 52.
Very cool.
Yeah. Set it up.
How can we follow Seneca too? Might as well throw that in there as well.
Oh, we gonna do that right now. You okay?
Oh no, I'm good. I'm putting my lighter on.
Okay.
Do you like my lighting? Is it good?
Yeah, it looks good.
Good.
Yeah, natural lighting. It looks good.
In fact,
all right, perfect.
Listen. Next time, look, we if we ever do a West Coast show, we doing it from your office.
Yeah, we're just inviting ourselves.
I'm not even joking, bro.
I'm gonna sleep on that couch too.
I'm gonna say this right now, Seneca. You have the nicest backdrop out of all the guests that we've had so far. Your backdrop is a place
that's
where
nice.
we're gonna have that look like a smoking lounge.
No offense to everybody else. You guys all had nice
no offense.
background.
No offense to anybody else.
But Seneca's got
that's
he's
a
looking
smoking
real
lounge
sophisticated.
right there.
Very sophisticated.
Yes,
absolutely. Looks like a professor's lounge or something.
That's what I was going for. You got
Is that right? Professorial, academic,
There we go. And with that, allow me to introduce tonight's guest. With us tonight is a warrior for the city of Oakland. He is an activist. He is, hold on, let me just get this correct here. He is an Oakland organizer and co-founder of Lashian. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Lashian after Christopher Lash. So Lashian, you got it right.
Lash. Oh, after Christopher Lash. Oh, that was actually going to be the next question I ask you. That's a very interesting piece of information. With us this evening, and you're also a host of your own show. And I guess you'll tell us what the name of that is. Mr. Seneca Scott, everyone. Brother, thank you. Thank you for joining us tonight, man. Really appreciate it.
All right, thank you for having me.
Thanks, brother.
If you could, for our audience tonight, please, as when we do this with all of our guests, if you could please introduce yourself to our audience and tell it is who you are and what you do.
Well, I'm not going to be too long. The short of it is I'm a former union organizer and operative turned community organizer. And now I guess I do investigative reporting and do whatever it takes to get the people free. Since 2020, I sort of got awoke or awakened, not woke, and realized what we thought was going on wasn't really what we thought was going on. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. And since then, there's been a political awakening, just a little bit ahead of the curve where most people are starting to realize. And I'm talking about people who are former progressive leftists. I used to be the East Bay director of SCIU 1021, which is a very high-ranking, prominent position, leading negotiations in multiple East Bay cities, transit, BART transit, you name it, I've negotiated those contracts. So I went to Cornell University, so I have a lot of friends who are from New York City, and I've spent years in New York City collectively, even though I never lived there. That's how much I've spent in New York. And, I did the union thing. I've done a whole lot I'm not going to speak on just yet, but and I retired in 2014 from labor unions, which I thought was going to be a sabbatical. Moved to Oakland full-time from Los Angeles. Then I started a community gardening, a festival company. I was good. I wasn't thinking anything about politics. And then the pandemic hit, or some other things happened in 2018 that sort of like tipped me off that things were about to change. And so I was sort of ready for the pandemic. Then it actually happened. And since then, it's been a whirlwind of just activists. There's a quote from the book, a great book too, Dubious Battle, and it's about some commies who don't get thrown off. I know you're at war with the commies, my man Isaac. But this book right here, there's a part where it says I have a skill in helping men, and I think that should sum up. I don't like people being bullied. I'm half deaf myself. And, I've been bullied as a kid. Luckily, I got big early. At 13, I had my growth spurts. I got to kick some ass. I was a good athlete. I played a bunch of sports in college and all of that. But I'm a firearm enthusiast. I train people. And I'm ready for the shit. We're about to go through some crazy stuff. I'm sure we're going to talk about some crazy stuff today. But I'm out here full time. I'm not just in Oakland. We are out in all over the place. Denver, Nashville, San Diego, Los Angeles, Sacramento, you name it. We're helping neighbors to get free from oppression. I am a post-partisan. I call myself a post-partisan solutionary, and I took solutionary from March, who I'm actually going to be speaking with next Saturday on stage, 6 days from today at the Freedom Fest in Palm Springs in Los Angeles. So that's cool. I finally get to meet that dude. But, I don't go left or right. go up, down. Either you have integrity or you don't. And unfortunately, on both sides of our political divide, most people don't. So I guess that sums up in 3 minutes or less what I'm about. And I really want to talk about that ranked choice voting because y'all in trouble in New York. I don't think y'all realize. I think if you guys are about to be fully captured by the Soggies, and if you let the Soggies capture the city, you're fucked. You're gonna have to shoot your way out. And shooting your way out is much different.
You said, hold on a second. You said captured by who?
The Soggies.
Soggies?
What's a Soggy?
I'm glad you asked,
let's talk about that.
I don't know if you guys share your screen, but if you were to search my X and bring it up. So Soggies, if you remember, Soggies were the villains in Captain Crunch. But,
I know.
But hold on. Let me tell you the story.
I didn't even know that.
Check it. All right. So boom.
I'm pulling out. I'm going. Go ahead and tell it. And I'm looking it up right now.
I was talking to my man's, and if you put Soggies on Google or whatever, it should come up with my tweet. So I'm talking to my man, and he was like, "Yo, I'm tired of saying woke because so many black people, when you say woke, they get offended and they get thrown off." And you could try to explain it, but it is what it is. And the meaning of communication is the response you receive. So there's some kind of time you got to kind of go with the flow. And I'm like, yo, we need another name for these fucking woke people. And he was like, well, they're like SOG Dems, or like socialist Democrats, right? Like SOG Dems. And I was like, SOG? Why would you say SOG? And I was like, something just hit. And I was like, soggy. And I didn't think about the Captain Crunch character. I just thought, the word soggy is literally always negative. Think about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's like no way soggy's ever a good thing. They make you feel icky. It's just always bad. And then I realized it was the village. So anyway, it stuck. I got ridiculed. People thought it wasn't funny, but now people saying that shit, and I think it's fucking funny. But anyway, and because they're not real socialists. And when you say that this is a fake color revolution. And I don't mean that the whole Marxists have never been tried thing. I'm not talking about that. They're really not even fundamentally real socialists. They don't care about the working class only.
True.
Yeah. Oh, no.
They don't care about the working class only anything. They're fucking bootlickers for anyone in power that could make them feel a little bit better about themselves because, that's another thing. There's a book Eric Hoffer wrote, The True Believer, that if you haven't read it yet, you really should. And on my podcast, Got the Oakland, I actually talk about it. That guy is salty as hell. That dude.
God, yo, he's
looking at Mom Donnie.
Man. Yeah, he knows Zoran is the chief soggy.
Yeah, but you know what?
He the chief soggy.
But his campaign is good. Let me tell you something right here. So when it comes to political campaigns, I led the recall of Oakland's mayor, and we were able to do so with like no money. We spent less than like 20 grand on the campaign. Now putting it on the ballot, we had to pay for signature gatherers. So that cost like, upwards of like 800 grand, paying a bunch of stuff. But the actual campaign itself, we spent no money. And here's what I noticed when it comes to political campaigns. If your political assets, your media assets, which is what you're using for narrative control, if your media assets have B-roll and voiceover, which all the consultants do, and they're trying to like force and game the system too much, that shit don't connect. And so if your assets is just real and raw and showing the people who are actually you're trying to talk to, and so what he's doing that's effective is that you don't see B-roll, you don't see voiceover. He's out there himself, and he's been doing it consistently, and he has traction. Traction is the way forward, even if it's small and incremental. And if you're not going backwards. So I believe he has incredible traction in his campaign. And you should be taking him very seriously. I don't live in New York, so forgive my ignorance, but I can't even tell you who the other candidates are.
Interesting.
And from out here, he's the only person running for mayor of New York from where I sit. I can't name a single other candidate. And again, I don't live in New York, but the point is that's the only person I know who's cut through nationally.
No, that's very interesting. That indicates something. So you didn't know that Andrew Cuomo's running against him?
I know who he is, but I didn't know he was running again.
You didn't know he was running, yeah. So that's
again, I'm ignorant, though. I'm ignorant. So
no, but the point, your point is right, though. Your point is right that it's, that's the information that's coming to you. You don't live in New York City. You're not necessarily following the race, but the information that's coming to you is Mamdani, this soggy socialist, is the one who's you're like, that's the only guy I know is running for mayor.
It
So
rolls off the
he's
tongue,
doing something
right?
right. He's doing Sagi Socialist. That's funny.
That's the best fucking name for this guy. That is the best name. Like the thing about it is that guy, when we talking about Zoran, the guy is, if there's anybody, but listen, I can tell you who's running. I live here. So I'll tell you who's running. You've got, for the Democrats, you've got Adrian Adams, who is the current Speaker of the House. I mean, the Speaker of the City Council. You have Brad Lander, who is the current comptroller. At least that's what he says he is, right? He was elected to do that, but this guy has done more to shunt money into nonprofits that his wife
so he's
he's all card carrying since 1987, brother. Card carrying since 1987. This guy, that guy. It's hard to tell who's worse between those two.
You guys are captured. If they control your money, you're captured already.
Yeah. We've been captured since De Blasio. This city has been captured since Bill De Blasio. You know, and because De Blasio was the one who we learned when we interviewed Curtis Sliwa 3 weeks ago. That guy, I thought that De Blasio had shunted he and Shirlane McCray, his wife or whatever she is now. I was always under the impression that they'd stolen like somewhere around $500 million from this Thrive NYC thing, this mental health this mental health thing. No. They stole, Shirlane McCray and Bill de Blasio stole upwards of $1.2 billion.
So they didn't get charged with it?
They ain't been charged for shit. They ain't been charged with nothing here.
There's a lot of that going on. So when you say, I don't want to get off track, so I'm not going to ask what you said.
No, that's fine. That's but Lander is very similar in the sense that he has openly shared openly shunted money to nonprofits who his wife is directly affiliated with. So, and it's somewhere around 500. I think it's around 800.
Single city. And so you're looking at fifth generation warfare. This is a coordinated attack that they've been planning, where they started funding it around the mid 2010s, 2014 or so. Mike Benz is on to it. Insurrection Barbie's on to it. I've been talking about it. Yeah. You know, a lot of people are catching on, but this is what fifth generation warfare looks like. It's non-kinetic. And here's one of the things that I offer people as proof. Why would you ever subsidize fentanyl? So if you didn't know that, in any city that's currently trying to be captured, this fentanyl is artificially cheap compared to the boarding area. And if you already have a high addiction rate, they're going to buy it anyway. Why would you leave money on the table? That means it's not really about the money. And then you just caught the Chinese people trying to, mess with the agriculture, eco-terrorism there. You're looking at the basic open societies, which basically target putting people in legislature position. And
that's how
these positions
that's how we got Alvin Bragg. That's how we got Alvin Bragg. That's how y'all got what's his name? No, the other one. His name is right on the tip of my tongue. The one who was the oh God, he had that French sounding name. Yeah. No. Who was the DA?
Oh, you mean Pamela Price?
Before her.
Pam Price. You mean San Francisco? Chesa Boudin.
Chesa Boudin. That's who it was. Yeah, that's who it was. Yeah.
Chesa, and Pam Price was Open Society Soros funded as well.
Yeah.
And so they take the criminal justice, they take the school boards, and everybody's asleep at the wheel. The meek moderates are also asleep at the wheel. And here's the big part of why I named my consulting company Lashian Consulting Company. Christopher Lash, most famous book, in my opinion, that was left unfinished when he died. His daughter finished it, was The Revolt of the Elites and the Betrayal of Democracy. It didn't say the revolt of the poor or revolt of the working class. It's the revolt of the elites, and it targeted the financial elites and how they've abandoned their position to be the balance of these competing interests. And basically, we're leaving I'll give you an example that I always give because I'm an alumni of Cornell University. Ezra Cornell was a rich dude with a bunch of money. And he was like, hey, I want to use my money to put a university on top of that hill. And I want any person to be able to study anything. That's our motto, any person in the study. It was Black fraternities were founded at Cornell University. Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity in 19 whatever the heck. I'm not a member, so I don't know the date. But the point is, it wasn't founded at Howard or at HBCU. The other ones were, but the very first Black fraternity was founded at Cornell. The first African American Studies program was got from Willis Straight Takeover with like literal guns like the people behind me. Like it's first universities to admit women. It's got a history of being the first in the sky. And it's basically, I'm getting too long-winded here, but the point is, if you're a rich fucking person with all this money and you're buying more jets and more coastal mansions and you're not spending any money on the people to leave a real legacy, you've abandoned your position. You've allowed a complete monopoly over the conversation on what the actual issues are for the working class to the soggies, and then they're exploiting that position and they're using it to assume power, and you're sitting there like, what the fuck is going on? What the fuck's happening is there's no money for the people because the rich people, the elite, and they are greedy. When the soggies call the rich billionaires greedy, they're right. It sticks because they're right. They are greedy. They have abandoned their position to help the working class and make sure that they use their advanced positions in life and blessings given from God above to position them in a better position than their fellow man, to do something, to help people, to be an empathetic person in their leadership, and they've abandoned their positions as well. And they need to be blamed just as much. Don't leave them out of the equation. Do not leave the meek moderates out of the equation when you criticize them.
No.
Because they fucking suck too. Anyway,
no, in fact, no, bro. This is no. To borrow from the elites, this is a safe space for rants. We like rants,
indeed.
Okay, especially when because look, we know you got a lot to say, and you been had a lot to say. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna tell you, here in New York, you see a lot of I'm gonna tell you a couple of ways in which the elites have already proliferated and are revolting. Okay. Bike lanes. I talk about bike lanes and congestion pricing like every week on this show. I drive my boy nuts over here with this because because
it kills the local businesses. It never actually works the way they say. They don't care. They just don't like
care.
Cars.
No, they don't like cars.
They're there to destroy your city.
They are, and we're going to get it, and we're going to get into that because the bike lanes. Because again, all of this came from, well, in terms of who we select, it all came from ranked choice voting, and we're going to get to that. But since we're on the topic of elites, the bike lanes here in New York City, and I'm sure they got a bunch of them over there in Oakland.
Yeah, we got bike lanes
that don't make sense. Okay,
nope, at all.
The elites,
zero sense.
You've got economic apartheid with the whole congestion pricing thing that they are working to expand on here. Okay, they were never going to stop. They were never going to stop with Manhattan. We all knew that. Okay, but now I'm going to tell you another way. You've got with affordable housing. Okay, quote unquote affordable housing. Tell me why. It's almost as if you have to make a minimum of $125,000 a year in some cases to live in some of these nicer buildings. I drove through Hunter's Point in Queens, okay? And they put up a couple new buildings like right on the edge, right on like this peninsula that's overlooking the East River. Okay? I should have taken pictures. Anyways, there are 3-bedroom apartments in some of these buildings, Seneca, that go for $11,000 a month. $11,000 a month. You have studio apartments, ain't got a fucking bedroom
you need to save
like your life.
To qualify, that means you need to make $30,000 a month pre-tax.
Yes, $30,000 a month pre-tax.
Yeah,
that's at 40 times. Yes, that's at 40 times. That's 40 times the rent here in the state of New York. the elites are trying to and my whole thing about that was there ain't enough of these fucking people. There ain't enough of these people to have $11,000 a month apartments just all willy-nilly.
What's the vacancy?
So who are they for? Oh God, I don't know.
Rich foreigners, most likely, right?
Are they vacant or are they full?
Some are vacant. Well, like most of the ones that I've seen, like because they only in these their websites they only list the availability, and I saw one with like 3 of them. The one that I'm thinking of had like 3-bedroom apartments that was $11,000 a month.
No, I would say
So
a lot of my
between those-
friends, most of my friends who I went to college with, I'm 46 as of like last week or so, couldn't easily afford that. And so there are a lot of wealthy people in New York. I would say that New York has a lot of rich people and probably more millionaires, other than like San Francisco or so. Then, but
the problem is, go ahead.
No. It's interesting because here we have the exact opposite problem. We don't have our rents have dropped 20%. You cannot being a landlord here or housing provider is unless you're like institutional level money. You're risking your livelihood and generational wealth. They weaponize the tenant rights and housing as a human rights movement and stuff so much where, you know, it's a whole, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I would say this much about that. The statement housing is a human rights, which I used to agree with until I realized how evil it was. It's a human necessity. But to say that something that somebody else has to work for is your right means you're post-slavery. It's actually an evil statement.
That's exactly right.
And
that's exactly right.
Nothing that requires the labor of someone else can be your right. And shelter and building of a house is a lot of work, right? I'm not going to have to go deeper into that than that. You can think about it and work it out yourself. But anyway, they always do that kind of stuff to work. You know, they're very creative people. But they used to be. They got fat and lazy. Like, they're not so creative anymore. Because all the good people left. I used to be there, you know. Now we left. So they lost.
I mean, but the reason. I mean, there's a reason why. There's a reason why. I'm the issue. The thing that I have found as these movements have gotten more and more radical, and I'm talking about these soggies, these leftist movements, and even with the moderates that you mentioned. These movements are getting very, very, very white. These movements are full of white leftists. They're full.
Well, you know why? They demonize white people so they get to not be demonized if they're in a movement.
Exactly. So, like, because with the chief soggy here in New York City, Zoran, his base is predominantly rich, affluent white leftists in very, very rich parts of town. So Williamsburg, Brooklyn, Park Slope, Brooklyn, Upper East Side in Manhattan, Astoria, Queens, which has more fucking communists in it than I can even count. Oh boy, I saw a couple of them a few months ago on my lunch break, and they're everywhere.
Astoria,
they're everywhere. In Astoria, hell yeah! I'll tell you a quick story. A story about Astoria.
Very good, very good.
Yeah, that's my uncle. That's my uncle joke for the night. You can forget it. I'm not a dad yet.
Well, give it time.
Couple years ago, I played soccer up at Astoria Park, which is right underneath of the RFK Bridge, well, the Triborough Bridge. Okay, the one that goes between Queens and Manhattan and the Bronx. So, anyways, that was the first time that I'd seen young kids look like 18, 19-year-olds passing out flyers. Passing out like communist flyers. This is before all of this. This is before like all of the direct actions and these mass lines that they're doing. This was the first time.
Is it DSA?
Yeah, it's DSA. Oh, it's DSA all day. And Astoria, is AOC's district.
Mm.
Astoria is part of AOC's district. And
so why is the working
Bernie
class
Sanders,
pretty much not vote? Y'all, what's going on there, man?
you know, at least I vote in every election. I've been up here like 10 years. I've been here in New York for 10 years. I'm not originally from New York. I'm from Baltimore originally. I have voted in every election up here. And I will say this. Nothing is more disheartening than a ballot full of unopposed fucking candidates.
Mm.
I'm dead serious. A lot of these candidates up here, because New York City been captured. We're going to talk, like I said, we ranked choice voting has already borne consequences, right? We've already got bad consequences because of it. But in this particular case, I'll never forget, it was like a special election about a year or two ago when I was still living in Brooklyn. And the only city council member who was on my ballot was Darlene Mealy. She was running unopposed. There were no Republican candidates on the ballot. There were this is New York City for many years has been quite non-competitive, quite uncompetitive. Like Republicans do not want to compete. There's a reason why.
Republicans can it just be independents or other Democrats who aren't crazy?
Well, we have the mayor's an independent now, right, Isaiah?
Yeah, Eric Adams is an independent now. But understand, if you go independent, first off, the moderates here are scared to death. And I'm sure the same thing in Oakland. The moderates are scared to fucking death of the communists. The socialists run New York. They run shit here, just like they run things in every single major city in the country at the moment. Even in places like Austin, Texas, in Dallas, Texas, where the paleo communists are overrunning, out there where you're at. In fact, I want to talk to you a little bit about Shangtao. I want to know what was going on with that, because you had quite a lot to do with her current residence, her current place of residence, if I remember correctly.
Oh, no, she's not locked up yet.
Not yet?
No.
Oh, damn. But if you could, but you know what? But is the trial still going on?
Yeah, it's going on right now. Yeah.
So what's up with that? Because I've heard, we heard a lot. Well, at least I heard a lot about Sheng Tao from your posts and a lot of news stories that I've seen. But talk to us about Sheng Tao, who she is and what she was doing, and just how she was brought to justice and everything, please.
Whew. How long you want it? Which version? You got to tell me, because that's a long. I could do a 3, 5, 7, 10, 12, 4 hours. What you mean?
Bring it, man. Bring it. We tell us. Talk to us about the stuff you can talk about. If there's anything you can't, leave it out, but please.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm a private citizen. I'm not involved with her child anyway. So
first, let me
say this.
Yes, sir.
Sheng Tao is a symptom, not the disease. And Oakland is the most corrupt city in America. When Sheng Tao was elected, and she filed late for mayor. Let's start at the top. So she filed late for mayor, and her union operatives covered it up. Because she filed late, she should have never been on the ballot. They covered it up by doctoring timestamp and deleting video footage. I know because I was the last person to file legally. There was a lawsuit filed. You guys can look it up. City of Oakland recently settled because she's already recalled.
Oh my God.
After that, her office used city time to campaign. Her office operatives used fake burner accounts all day long to smear people with DSA operatives and soggies. That's what they do. Right after she got elected, the first thing she did was fire a black police chief. Then there was a very suspicious ransomware attack that probably was some kind of inside job because all of OPD's confidential informant lists got leaked, putting them in significant danger. Sheng Tao was a defunded police person, so of course she got rid of the police. We are under negotiated settlement agreement and consent decree, and the police chief almost had us off, so she fired him for no cause. For no cause. Black brother from West Oakland. Shing Towers from Stockton, California. She's not from Oakland. What's the next thing that she did? So the reason she's facing 95 years in prison right now is because she took bribes and payoffs and pay to play from the Duong family. The Duong family are garbage and recycling contractors who also give a lot of money to Trump, by the way. They're going to get a pardon when they get found guilty. You heard it here first. Watch it get a pardon. So they bought her off. And they gave her money, and in order to get her elected, they gave her boyfriend like a bunch of money for no-show job. In return, she gave them, the moment she was elected, a $300 million recycling contract. No bid, recycling contract. And that's what she's facing 95 years in prison for, that kind of stuff, right? Right after that, she went on a trip to Vietnam, sponsored by that same recycling family, the Duong family. And that trip right there had like all types of prostitutes and cocaine, just crazy shit reported from it. While she was on this trip to Vietnam, Oakland was the only public entity in the state to miss the deadline when she forgot to turn in her homework for a public safety grant that gave us $15 million to fight crime. Something the defunding would do, right? They don't want money going to public safety to fight crime. They want crime. So she missed that deadline. Only person in the state. After that, what happened is so much. She passed a budget that was so full of hopium that it led to bankruptcy. And then to cover it up, she sold the Coliseum, Oakland's only revenue-producing asset, without even having an appraisal, to a janky nightclub promoter, like a janky promoter, a shady nightclub promoter with zero executive experience. They based our budget off of selling that Coliseum. They took $25 million less for our half than the A's got for their half. I don't know why, because they look like some whatever. It was so shady, but they never even paid the money. So now we're cutting police and fire stations because of that, and we're facing bankruptcy.
Wait. Ho. Not to cut you off. Oakland Coliseum got sold?
They sold it to AASCG, some janky nightclub promoter dude. He never paid, though. He said he was going to pay. They moved the term sheet, and then they just extended it to next year all of a sudden. And because they based our budget off of that one-time sale of the Coliseum, it's like selling. It's like selling your house to pay your credit card bill down some, not even off. Because there are no structural fixes to a $177 million budget that we have. But hold on, let me go on. The A's left under her watch. You know what she said? Her office said, quote, "They won't be missed." This bitch from Stockton, who the fuck are you? Rest in peace to Ricky Henderson. God, you know what I'm saying? Like, who the fuck are you? So anyway.
The Oakland Athletics.
Hold on.
Oh my God.
This you got recalled by the people. 70%. 77% of the black community voted yes to recall her. 60% of Oakland, supermajority, voted yes to recall her. Barbara Lee, the Democratic Party said don't do it. Everybody said don't do it. They tried to bully us, but we won nevertheless. Check this out. To beat the recall, they employed a strategy to use another Starkey sellout council member, Carol Fife, to use black people as token. A leaked memo to the FBI exploited it all. If you can pull that up, all you have to do is say black people tokens on Google Oakland, and it'll come up. You'll see the memo. And basically, they had this insidious plan to use dark money, change the rules, and use black people to put them against other black people, to use us as tokens in order to advance their nefarious agenda. I mean, there's so much more. She tried to give herself a raise right out the gate. I mean, this lady was a disaster. Under her watch, crime exploded. Oakland led the nation in stolen cars in 2023. The Hilton Hotel left that Raiders used to practice at. The In-N-Out closed the only location ever that was profitable, I may add, just because of the danger to the employees. We have retail exodus. Rents have dropped 20%. We have buildings that were, the build cost was $210 million in 2016, selling for $90 million. The build cost, over less than half the build cost. What you're looking at here is the collapse of value, across the board, and there's no revenue coming here. This is what progress, this is where they incubate all of this stuff. Oakland's been ground zero for the progressive plan for this thing, including ranked choice voting and all that shit. Defund the police started here. Quinn Delaney and Wayne Jordan, Chinese Progressive Association, that whole like NGO complex, all that's headquartered here in San Francisco. right? And so they perfected it here in the Bay Area with all of that stuff. And now they're exporting that product, as you said. But here's one thing. Every city hasn't been captured. Nashville hasn't been fully captured yet. There's a lot of cities that haven't been, but they're in flux. They're battlegrounds right now. And they better wake the heck up and hire legacy and consulting group, hire us, and your city won't get captured. And if your city has been captured and you need to shoot your way out of it, we can help you shoot your way out of it too. But yeah, it's crazy right now. But here's the thing: Barbara Lee is the same. So then Barbara Lee, her coronation was today. All hail the Queen. They say that she's going to bring all this money and she had this legendary congressional record. But here's the fact: she ranked 218th in Congress in bringing money back home. That's the bottom half of bringing money to her district, while ranking #1 in international corporate funded travel.
What? No. I'm here.
Okay, but think about that. You say you bought a bunch of money to Oakland, but three professional sports teams left under Barbara Lee's watch. How is that something to brag about? And then you brought very little resources to your district, the bottom half. And then you were the #1 person in Congress that got corporate funded travel. Then you got over $60 million in no-bid contracts funneled to your security contract while you were in office, to your security company. These Democrats, like the same thing you just described earlier, any rock or any city you lift up under these progressive Democrats, you're going to find shocking levels of municipal corruption. You're going to find all types of pay-for-play from foreign adversaries. These people are destroying America from the inside out. Fifth-generation warfare is not kinetic. It's not what you think. And you can't, like, you could be caught up in being mad about it, but we did the opium wars to China. They playing us a favor back with the fentanyl wars 2.0.
Yeah.
It's what it is, like, you just got to wake up and be like, we at war right now, and you need to act accordingly and stop thinking it's some time to be, fiddle-faddling around. Unless your city's going to be collapsing in value. You're not going to have any retirement. And they're going to be laughing at you because they work for the NGOs. You know how much the city of Oakland pays more than tech?
What?
Yeah,
they pay more.
You don't want to see our salaries. You can pay $300 out here. We got police people making $750 out here in overtime.
$750,000 off of overtime. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
The nonprofits get millions. We have a nonprofit, Clinica de la Raza, that does legal aid for eviction prevention. Their gross revenues were $800,000 in 2019. After Oakland had the longest eviction moratorium in the country, 3 years. Now, all of a sudden, their gross revenues are around $40 million a year. And they get money from us to hire lawyers for deadbeats who don't pay rent for years, and then you got to pay them $100-something thousand to get them out. It's illegal extortion. And they're making, brother, Monday. Like I said, how long do you want me to go on about what's going on? What's probably going on in New York?
Bruh,
it probably is. Some of it probably is going on in New York. I mean, a lot of that.
Listen,
going on
no, I am convinced that the revolt of the elites, like you talked about earlier, is happening in the nonprofits, and it has to be like.
Oh, I mean, that's looting.
God.
It's not just a revolt, man. It sounds like they're looting. They're looting us.
They're looting.
They're looting our tax
poverty
dollars.
pimping.
Yeah, they're looting. They're looting
Oh
the people.
My God!
They're just sucking you dry like lice.
Black
like
people and poor people.
Yeah.
And then they wanted to throw us for the whole loop with the whole gender insanity. I'm glad it's finally burning out and they're getting ridiculed for it like they rightfully should. But you don't even know what a fucking woman is. She's the first Black woman Supreme Court Justice. Hey, first Black woman Supreme Court Justice. What's a woman? I don't know. It's complicated.
I'm not a biologist.
Oh yeah, I'm not a biologist.
I'm not a biologist. Are you serious?
I gotta defer. I gotta defer to experts. I got to defer to experts.
Anti-woman. One out of 3 women, if you accept the fact, and I do, because a third of women have some type of sexual assault, maybe not full-blown rape, but some sort of sexual assault from the hands of a man. And to ignore that stat and allow men to go into these women's spaces, pre-op even, well, not, I'm going to say pre-op, they don't even have the intentions of having an operation, most of them, which statistics show. and they just wonder like, what the fuck is going on here, man? Like you playing women's sports? Like, come on, man. Like
Crazy.
my time, like I was an okay athlete. You know what I'm saying? Like my times, I mean, like okay, like I was better than average. Right? I ran track and played football in college, but my PR in high school was a 10-400. I think that would make me like the fastest woman ever.
You probably could.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a regular dude in track and field. You know,
what did you
remember me? You know, like
what position did you play in football? What position did you play in football?
DB.
Oh, okay.
No, I mean I can run. I'm fast, but like I'm normal fast. Like I'm elite fast for like like a regular like high school guy who can play some D1 AA sports. But I would be the fastest woman ever. What's the record for women's 100-meter dash? 10-4, 10-3. I think maybe they got faster. Maybe like 10-2 or 10-1 now, right? But the point I'm making is that was back in the day, right?
Yeah.
Like I was like maybe like the 114th ranked 100-meter sprinter in America, and I would have been the number one easy women's sprinter in America.
Yeah, but
it is out of here.
They don't give a shit about women's sports anymore.
That's why I was so angry.
And they're the supposed feminists. They're the supposed feminists.
Yo, I was so pissed off at Simone Biles.
Yeah,
well, that was weird.
She
caught up with something. Something behind because it came out of nowhere. It was like nobody was even talking to you.
She got pressured or something. Yeah,
nobody was. Yeah, so then the question at that point becomes: when did you get a direct deposit and who was it from? Who was your last money wire from?
And she was saying the opposite in 2017 too, wasn't she? Like they got a tweet of her being saying the exact opposite. So,
was she a victim of sexual assault by the hands of a coach?
Yes, Larry Nassar. She was the one who blew the whistle, if I remember correctly. She was the one who blew the whistle about this whole for Simone Biles to just come out and just be like to tell what's her name, Riley Gaines, to tell Riley Gaines, oh well, you should be uplifting trans people. Why? Why in the world would anyone uplift that garbage? Yes, I'm calling it garbage. These are evil people.
For being straight. Huh? Well, you know what that guy Eric Hoffer said in his book, The True Believer, you guys should definitely check out, which basically describes how mass movements like that become cults and start altruistic to become totalitarian, is that these movements can exist without God, but they cannot exist without the devil.
This is true. What was the name of that book again?
The True Believer, Eric Hoffer.
The True Believer. Okay, yeah, I'm looking at Eric Hoffer. Here we go. Thoughts on the nature of mass movements. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to check that book out. I'm just gonna put it here on screen for our viewers. The True Believer: Thoughts on the Nature of Mass Movements. Maybe I have to.
And he advised Obama.
He did. Really? Oh, I didn't know. That's very interesting. So yeah, so for Simone Biles to say those things was absolutely ridiculous. And yeah, Maria Isabella, who's a friend of ours, love you, dear. Thanks for stopping by. She says, I agree, something doesn't feel right with the Simone Biles thing. And I would agree. Like I said, I want to know who dropped money in her account. I want to know who got to either her or her husband, because I know her husband plays for the NFL. Okay, he plays for the Chicago Bears, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong about that.
Maybe somebody got in trouble and they blackmailed him.
Maybe, who knows?
No, I don't like to speculate too much. I'm doing that for entertainment purposes.
Neither do I.
But something doesn't seem right with it. That's no hyperbole there.
No, all Larry Nassar needs to do is identify as a woman, and then he can go back in the locker room with Simone Biles.
Somebody should say that to her. Maybe she'll snap to it.
Yeah, why don't we uplift that? Let's uplift Larry Nassar doing that. That's all he's got to do.
Yeah.
That's
That-
ridiculous.
He's stunning and brave. Stunning and brave.
Stunning and brave. Beautiful.
Stunning and brave. Yes,
There's no
stunning and
perverts
brave.
out there that would take advantage of that. Like, give me a fucking break.
So, anyways, God, we've got.
So let's go back. Let's get back to the we went on like let's go back to like the way that the Democrats, the socialists, the Sagis, as you call them, Seneca, like how they're just looting cities, man. They're just looting our tax dollars. And I want to say too, like one of the reasons why they get away with it, which I'm sure you guys know, is because the media is all left, right? The legacy media is all left leaning. So it's like there's no watchman. There's no watchman to be like, oh, did you see they did this? They just
but you can be the watchman.
Right, we can be independent
what
media.
You can do so independent media can bring down.
That's who can do it. Yes, thank you.
We used it. We call a mayor. No media live. Took her out with X.
Listen, I'm gonna say this right now. Shout out to Alex Jones.
Yeah.
I'm just going to give a quick shout out, a shout out of appreciation. That man, that's one of the most interesting men and one of the most interesting people in the world. And I look forward to one day shaking hands with that man and learning. And I want to learn. Like, I want to know how he comes to understanding a lot of this of like fifth generational warfare and all that. But go ahead, continue, Seneca. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's all good. That's pretty much it.
Yeah,
dude, that's one of the biggest cancers of our Western society is the loss of. I mean, one of the biggest dangers to democracy and everything and our liberalism is the loss of a unbiased press. Like the press has always had like some biases depending on who it is, but like it's been the legacy media has been completely left leaning.
Dog walk. The dog walk.
Propaganda.
Their public relations for
besides Fox News.
Yeah, all of them are public relations.
Yeah,
for these people, and they're there for manufactured consent.
Yeah,
that's what they're there for.
To manufacture consent.
And here's how you fight back. All right, I have a show, Gotham Oakland. Half the city hall got to watch it now because I got sources. I know what's going on. We're posting them. You're putting it out there, right? You can have insiders and they're white hats in New York City Hall who will leak information for you if they can trust you. And so to build that trust, they need to see you speaking out and taking bullets. One thing about the media is, I mean, they're captured. I've taken considerable, like the media out here has basically pretty much succeeded, and at least in the non-discerning eyes and people who follow their stuff, was probably a good 40% of my city, into turning me into this political caricature who, is just complete lies and all that shit is fake. And that's why I started making my own content. After hundreds of episodes of me talking about Oakland corruption, how are you going to say I don't talk about anything about they say I'm talking about? Like, when are you going to wake up? And to that, I'll add this. How could any of these, because these soggies always like to point to past movements, right? And I have a whole presentation I can show you guys real quick. I can run through it real quick.
Come on.
I can present my screen, right?
Can you take this? Can you take the screen?
You can, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay.
All right, so let's
I got it share right here.
There we go. All right, we got it.
So, yeah, awesome.
I want to do the slide. I'm gonna do this celebrated slideshow, like less than 1 minute per
yeah, you can control. There we go. There we go.
There.
Excellent.
Right. Okay, we already talked about what he wrote.
So
let's talk about it. Here's what Socrates need. Faith in holy causes is to a considerable extent a substitute for the lost faith in ourselves. And you have a sense of personal failure, a desire to escape. Why you think all these Cabbage Patch Kids and autistic women and weirdo white dudes who want to like dress up as like, come on, bro, like they're all crazy. They got problems, and then they're true. But this is our councilwoman Carol Fife who's a sellout inside baseball. But anyway, they need holy causes, and they have these fights. And this is their psychology. Like I said, they have personal failures. They want to escape from self, and they want a holy cause substitution. And it goes from frustration. Let's talk about this cycle here. The frustration that leads to being radicalized. Then they devote themselves to a fake cause. They think they're going to be so right and win, like Kamala and Brock Summer, and then they lost. Then they have identity crisis. Right now it's the identity crisis, right? All right, moving on. Let's talk about what they use. They use the new pores. And if you talk about AI, there's a whole lot of new recruits coming. And I think that these SAGIs and DSA is going to rise again. The escalations, the political escalations get shorter and more intense in the collapse of society, the same way they do in the collapse of financial market. And they're using, these are the new recruits. If you don't talk to them, they will. Let's talk about the different types of mass movements. You have one psychology, many faces: religious, political, nationalist, and social. Then you have a serious psychology. The progressive movements are actually combining political and social movement. And religious or secular, radical or righteous, all mass movements appeal to the same emotional needs. Another quote from Hoffa. Let's talk about these types of fanatics and leaders, the engines of the movement, men of words, visionaries, and intellectuals who sparked the idea. We could be considered those. If you're being self-reflective, right? Then you have the fanatics, the saga, crazy people who just shout and they're not that smart.
Street animals, the street animal communists.
That exactly. Then you have the practical people of action, the controlled opposition, like Barbara Lee, who's now consolidated power here in Oakland. And every great cause begins with a movement, becomes a business, and eventually degenerates into a racket. And this is,
that's right.
Yeah, so
that's DEI in a nutshell.
Movement.
Yep,
So
yep.
there you go.
BLM,
Moving on.
BLM as well.
That's DEI in a nutshell.
Hold on one second. I don't know why somebody's calling me. Hold on.
Environmentalism.
The emotional engine of mass movements. Yeah, this is
right. So I just did my own show with this. I'm being really quick about it, but you can check me out on Gotham Open for a slightly longer version. Here's what I was talking about earlier: it's a reputation destruction. Meanwhile, this is an Oakland-centered show, right? So if it
take all the time you need, brother. Don't feel rushed. We do not feel rushed.
I know, but I got to go in like 30
Please.
minutes, so you know.
Oh, okay, I got you.
So I gave this quote before: mass movements can rise and spread without a belief in God, but never without a belief in the devil.
It's facts.
And so in Oakland, they have Seneca Scott derangement syndrome. This is from a local blogs. Chantal has been obsessed with the leader of the recall, the FBI raid, and infamous 2022 hit piece against Lauren Taylor. Anyway, so here's what happened. When Shin was arrested by raided, her house was raided right after we filed for the recall. Her first public appearance, she spoke about me, and she said she didn't think the FBI was there to raid her. They thought he was there to help her because of me, a man with a dangerous history of assault rifle charges. I don't have no dangerous history of shit. I'm a fucking law-abiding citizen with no record at all. But anyway, look at this type of hit pieces they put. I don't have any far-right alignment. I've been Democrat until I wasn't, and then I was independent.
Of course,
that black lady you see right there, that black lady, that's the former judge, retired Judge Brenda Harbin Forte, 27 years, retired Alameda County Superior Court judge. She is a super Democrat. She swore in Pamela Price. And all of a sudden, when she wants to stand up for her community because she lives in Deep East Oakland, she sees the destruction from the progressive. And she wanted to recall the failed mayor because she was corrupt. They turned on her and called her MAGA and far right. And then you have vote no on the far right recall. But 77% of the black people in Oakland voted for that shit, right? So, like, anyway, this is how, and the white people are calling us. The white people are calling us the MAGA. I'm almost done.
Yeah.
So then you have a doctrine over faith, and I'm sure you're familiar with this. I see you fighting all the time with them in the streets with these crazy people. And the readiness to self-sacrifice is contingent on a conviction that their cause is holy. Belief is more powerful than truth. Contradictions don't matter to the true believer. And I'll take it one step farther. You ever notice that in progressive cities, there are no debates, there are only forums?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's why.
Community board meetings where people can voice their displeasure with something, and then everybody on the community board will immediately vote against the wishes of the people that just happen here.
They can't tolerate dissent.
They're just a real quick thing on that, Sen. So in Manhattan, they are working towards shutting down 34th Street to regular car traffic.
Oh, for bikes?
For buses, for bikes and buses. They're gonna for bikes, buses, and fucking Ubers, right? Yeah. So 34th Street. 34th Street, well, the 30, well, except for Black Rock, because Black Rock and all them shops at Hudson Yards are all there. So guess what? Them motherfuckers are gonna, all them rich people, they're gonna make sure that place is still fucking standing. That Bulgari dealer, they're not. You good, bro?
Yeah.
But hold on. People went to this thing, and the vast majority of people who were not like lobbyists, who weren't like employees for the lobbying firms, were diametrically opposed to this, because 34th Street is the most direct route from west to east.
I know.
So people, so for those of you who don't know,
my bad, I cut you off.
No, bro, you're good. So for those who don't know, to go from the Lincoln Tunnel, okay, to drive into Manhattan, like say for instance, if you're going to Long Island, okay, and money was no object, you would drive through the Lincoln Tunnel, okay, then you would take this short expressway, get onto Dyer Avenue, and then make a left onto West 34th Street. From West 34th, you would go across to 2nd Avenue, where the Queens Midtown Tunnel is. Queens Midtown Tunnel, it's right there. It lets you out of Kips Bay. You go through the tunnel, and you're right in the heart of Long Island City, and well on your way to Nassau and Suffolk County.
That's exactly how I used to go from my peoples in LI. So
yeah, and that's the thing. They go in. The reason why I explain it that way is because these people do not give the slightest ounce of a fuck when it comes to what the will of the people is. They don't even believe. This is one of the reasons why I say that socialism, well, communism is the end point, and socialism is the mechanism. Socialism is the means. Communism is the religion of the self made manifest by the state. No real person wants this shit.
No, none of us want this shit.
No real person wants 34th Street closed off to car traffic. Nobody wants any of this stuff. But they go in, they voice their opinions. They
get elected. So they get elected though. So here's the thing,
yeah,
right?
And they get elected.
Yeah. No, Isaiah, you're forgetting about the environmentalist in Virginia. He wants it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that fucking guy. That fucking
Richmond.
guy. But anyways,
we got people from across the
to
country that want it for us.
But go ahead, brother. Let's go ahead and get
about
that
environmentalists. Oh, I will finish this first before we get to RCV, because I don't think they are winning these votes. I think they're using RCV to actually cheat, and I can prove it. But the true believers today, we've already talked about here. They need an enemy. They have to have an enemy. Enemies are essential. They require a villain. Here's why: the malignant, narcissist personality types' biggest fear is being exposed, and so they require scapegoat. So people don't join movements to be free; they join to belong. This is something to give them some sort of meaning. And so my quote is: the radical left and the right are not 1 in 12 on the ruler; they're 1 in 12 on the clock. Both love totalitarianism and fascism.
Amen.
And anyway, that is the oops, my bad. So that's pretty much the consolidated version. I had a whole bunch of other stuff around it. But yes, they are a cult, and they started righteous maybe, but at this point. And so let's talk about that ranked choice voting, because I got 30 minutes.
Let's get into that.
Yeah, let's get into that. Definitely.
Yeah.
So look, ranked choice voting is used to cheat. Here's why. On its face, it's anti-democratic. You can win without having a majority of votes. Shin Tao got less than 1/3 of the votes. When I was trying to raise money for the recall, we have 40,000 signatures on the petitions. You got 39,909 votes. Less than 1/3, 30.3%.
What?
You can win without, it's like you just said, we didn't vote for this shit, right? We were just talking about that. Second,
Jesus.
Oakland has not run a ranked choice voting election without violating our city charter since it was involved. That's how complicated it is. You can't do it counts votes in secret. It uses a closed source algorithm. That's a fancy way of saying they count the votes in secret, because you don't know the algorithm that they're using to count it. Number 3, and then you combine that with mail-in ballots. This last election, with mail-in ballots, they had thousands of ballots with no postmark on it that came in after the election day.
No, they love it, man.
Right?
They love them,
So,
Just
late
more-
night
more-
ballot dumps.
More of a way to be corrupt.
change the system. It
Yeah.
always comes in late. There's always forever to count, and all of a sudden they come back
Mm.
after the first reporting. And then, and here's the crazy part, you can't authenticate it. The first and only manual recount of a ranked choice voting election in the United States of America happened because of me. So let me tell you the story.
Please.
That mayor in 2022, when Shin Tao got elected, I filed for a manual recount. This is all over the news. And then they wanted me to pay $2,000 a day, which would have cost me a couple $1 million to have it. And so I joined the Oakland NAACP. I was not a member. So I joined the Oakland NAACP to get some more strength. And I told all of them that our votes were being stolen from us. And then we went and demanded that the Alameda County Board of Supervisors demand a manual recount, and they paid for it, and we were successful. Our registrar of voters, who was also the IT person for the whole county, just refused to do it. I'll add one more thing. We used Dominion voting machines in June of 2022. And I have a podcast where I bring all these receipts up. So if you're listening at home and you want to pause it right now and go look it up, June 2022, the Department of Homeland Security and our voting integrity group of the United States of America put out a notice to every single registrar that used Dominion voting machines. And he told them there are 9 different security flaws in these machines, and you need to patch them. Our registrar, who was the IT person, did not patch it. Anyway, let me get back to the story.
Christ.
I demanded a manual recount. They said do it. It never happened for mayor, but it did happen for a school board election. And in the only manual recount that ever happened in the United States of America since we passed ranked choice voting in any city led to the election being overturned. It was in the Wall Street Journal. In the Wall Street Journal in January or maybe January of 2023, it says, "Oops, we botched RCV." Check it out. Check out the article. And it talks about how they messed it up. So the moment you manually recount it, it gets overturned. That shit is called rigged choice voting. Okay? It is used to cheat and take power without the consent of voters. And it allows the gaming system in so many different ways. It needs to be eradicated. It needs to be made illegal. Why is President Trump not making that shit fucking illegal yesterday? Which is why I'm starting to trust that administration less and less every day, because I need to see, like, I get it. Like, a lot of stuff, yeah, we voted. No. I'm an independent. I'm not MAGA or Republican, but I would like I trust him more than I trust the left, because those people are batshit fucking crazy. At least this guy knows what a woman is. But some stuff ain't happening that should be easy, like ranked choice voting. It's unconstitutional. It's anti-democratic.
Sure.
You can't do a manual recount of it. You can't count votes in secret with some closed source algorithm. What are we even talking about here? One person, one fucking vote. Okay? That's it. You want to
Seneca,
reform politics? Get the money out of shit.
I just have a quick question, Isaiah. So 2 things. So when did they start doing ranked voting in Oakland? And who started this? Who brought up this idea? And what was the reasoning that they should change it?
It was the nonprofit, the Public Sector Labor Union, and Democratic Party, and mega foundations like Open Societies or whatever you have out there. So basically, we hear big time labor and then also Fair Vote. You need to look up Fair Vote. They're the #1 nonprofit with a shit ton of dark money behind ranked choice voting.
Did they ever give a reason though for why they did it? Like a reason, a public facing reason?
With the year it started was the first election was 2000, maybe 9 or 10.
This is from the Ranked Choice Voting Resource Center.
Fair Vote. That's Fair Vote.
Yeah, and it says this is the puff piece. Ranked choice
this is
voting.
Global, though, so you know.
Yeah. The ranked choice voting is an election method in which voters rank candidates for an office in order of their preference first choice, second choice, third choice, and so on. Ranking candidates is different from simply selecting one candidate, or what is known as plurality voting. If a candidate receives more than half of the first choices, that candidate wins. Just like in any, look, what the fuck? If a candidate receives more than half of the first votes, that candidate wins, just like in any other election. However, if there is no majority winner after counting the first choices, the race is decided by an instant runoff. The candidate with the fewest votes is what the fuck even? This is as undemocratic as you can get.
What the fuck?
Especially if there aren't any, like New York does not have a runoff as far as I know. We don't I'm not, you know what? Let me not get ahead of myself, because like it's so complicated to trigger a runoff. They're rare. And you're telling me that one person, they're literally saying, well, you could pick up to 3 people and you can rank. They're like
up to 10.
Up to 10. No wonder. And this is what I was taught. This is what I was concerned about, is we've got like 9 fucking Democrats running for mayor.
Oh no, it's a Tour de France. So ranked choice voting, it's the Tour de France of voting. It's actually a team game where you have to have a peloton and shit, and then they play the games with each other, and it makes people actually scared to criticize each other because you're worried about getting votes from other people's fans. I'll give you one more. Errors, mistakes. Tsingtao won by 673 votes. 3,093 votes were disqualified due to error. 5 times more than she won by. She only won by 0.5%. So you can force those errors over time. And it took them like a fucking 3 weeks to count this shit. Giving them a lot of time to game it and figure out how to make her win.
And the more complicated they make it, which it seems very complicated, this whole thing unnecessarily so, that's the more chances you have to corrupt things, right? I mean, it's more to move things around, do things in the background. Nobody's paying attention. People are trying to figure things out. Why does it have to be so complicated? Just people, the majority vote.
Good question. Wins. You know what? The most advanced technological society in the world, which I believe is Singapore, they have the fastest broadband. They have the most people who are on, the technology.
Black, very wealthy. Yeah.
They use paper voting.
Paper voting?
Paper voting.
Yeah.
How about that?
If it works, it works.
Have a voting holiday. Have everybody show up. Nobody has to work. Have a fucking holiday.
Yeah.
Everybody show up with an ID. Show your fucking ID and vote. Okay? If you're handicapped, you can vote by mail. You want to request to vote by mail, you're in the military, vote by mail.
Mm-hmm. I pulled up Fair Vote. Look at this shit. Fair Vote, who we are. Fair Vote is a non-partisan organization working for better elections for all.
Good Lord, here we go.
You immediately, as soon as it's like, once you, who said this earlier? Scott Adams said the same thing about the user interface for reality. Once you see it, you can't unsee it, right?
That's right, Chris.
And so as soon as I hear working for better, insert something for all, I immediately know it's communist.
Yeah.
We research and advance voting reforms that make democracy more functional and representative for every American.
Functional
and representative for who?
Yeah.
For who?
How do you say that ID, getting an ID, something very simple that anybody can do, even if you're not literate, is something that's a barrier to entry for election. But
no,
now that it's an incredibly complex system, it's not.
Democrats think black people can't get ideas for some reason.
Right. Because we're still fucking farm equipment. We're still farm equipment to most Democrats. That's the problem. We're still a bunch of fucking illiterate. And they're creating. I know a lot of people get mad at me when I talk about like public schools and shit, but they're creating illiterate innumerate farm equipment in public schools. And so what's going to happen? That's how Democrats view us as black people.
Yeah, it makes me view us as pet rocks and stray dogs. That's what we are to them.
Pet rocks and stray dogs. Yeah, Jesus. Man. And now ever since, and I blame James Lindsay for this. I blame him for this. I can't unsee this shit. I can't unsee the communism in everything. It's everywhere. It's like if it's not like outright narcissism, this outright narcissism where like you deserve like New York City deserves a candidate who will fight for them.
Entitlement,
like, this entitlement. Everything is about I deserve this, I deserve that, and then what we end up getting is the exact opposite of what we deserve. Or maybe we do deserve, the desolation and everything for voting for fucking communists. I don't know.
Did you vote for them?
I did not.
No, I'm saying if you have ranked choice voting, did you really vote for them?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Well, that's why.
Who was going to vote for? Who voted for Kamala to be the presidential candidate as well, right?
Well, I don't think ranked choice voting is on the federal level yet. That's how they're stealing. I mean, that's how they're stealing like state elections, like state and municipal elections. It's not on the federal level yet.
No, but I'm saying But it's the same thing though. As what I'm saying is like with the with Kamala, like we didn't vote for her either. It's like they don't really give a shit. They're the saving democracy people, right? Saving democracy is them, and they don't really give a shit at the end of the day whether like first of all was Biden running the country. That doesn't matter. As long as it's our guy. It's really other people running it because he was freaking his brain didn't work for freaking the last 2-3 years. And then after that, it's like did Kamala go into any primaries? I remember last time she did a primary, she didn't do very well at all, right? But now she's the president. Everybody.
She was the first. She's a woman.
She's a woman of
color. She was the first candidate. She was the first candidate blown out to blow out in the 2020 primary.
She was out first. Yeah. No, she was not likable.
Democracy.
I don't think they wanted to win that.
Interesting.
The same way that the Republicans don't like to win. No one wants to win and keep power for long because then you have to own the problems. You keep switching back and forth. So here's the analogy I make. You guys seen Snowpiercer?
I haven't, but I always wanted to watch that show.
What is it? Snowpiercer? You said
Snowpiercer. Yeah.
There's a movie.
No, never seen that. No.
Man, so enough of the audience has seen it. So I'm just going to kind of give you a synopsis, but watch it. And even though like I'm going to kind of ruin it for you. So spoiler alert.
That's all right.
It's been out long enough. I can give some spoilers.
Spoiler.
There's a train. It doesn't matter if this shit makes sense or not. So suspend your imagination. The movie's actually well done, although I laughed the first 20 minutes and thought it was a joke. And I think I know it's probably the most captivating movie since Children of Men, since I've seen. If you haven't seen Children of Men,
that is high praise.
So there's a train, the earth is gone, it froze, and some grand solar, it froze, ice age. And this train is the last thing left on earth. And it's a super advanced train. And they grow the food and solar, they have animals and all that shit. It's crazy. And it travels on a track around the world, avoiding any weather, because it's the world track where it has the timing down. And it goes around the world once per year. And at the front, depending on when you got on the train, how much money you had, it's your fixed social hierarchy. It's the ultimate caste system. You cannot change. And so either you're at the back of the train when you didn't pay that much, or you're at the front or the middle. And they have hierarchy. And now it starts with the groups having a revolution in the back of the train because they're eating like roaches and shit, and it's like life is shitty, and it's like, and then in front of the train it's like luxury, like the pot, and they're all on the same train. And so it's a very allegorical movie. It's a Korean film, and if you don't think about Korean cinema and you're a film buff, you know that they're very meticulously paced and have very good character development.
They're in a golden era too right now. They're making great films.
Really.
Parasite was awesome.
Just really good film, right? And so it's a Korean director though. It's not a Korean film, but it's still the same type of energy. And so here's the twist: when it finally gets to the front of the train, and at the back of the train there's just one leader, and the leader. The way they punish you if you do something bad is they stick your limb out the train because it's freezing, and then they stick coming back in and it's froze, and they knock it off with a hammer. So they take your limb away. And so the leader has like one limb. So he's got punished 3 times. He's down on one limb, and he's the spiritual leader, maybe 2, whatever the fuck. He's lost a bunch of limbs and shit. And it's like he's like telling people you got to revolt. He gets the information from his sources in the front, who you don't know who they are, but they're always giving him information. And then he plans this revolution, and he sends the young people off in the revolution. And then,
sounds like Mao.
Of
and
course.
so, but they get farther than they're supposed to. The guy gets to the end, and the guy says, "Hey, bud, let me keep it real with you. You weren't supposed to get this far. We have to have a revolution every couple of years to thin out the population because the train can only hold so many people, and people need something
Holy
exciting to talk
shit.
about. And sometimes we need to mix shit up. And the guy that you think is your man is my man. We've been talking forever. He was like, yo, boy, you bugging this dude up. He got all his arms and shit cut off. There's no way you can tell me this dude. It's with you. He's with us. I've been on him my whole life." And he's like, nah, he's with me. And he proves it. And he fucks this guy's whole world up.
Wow.
It doesn't matter. The controlled opposition is so real that someone will be willing to literally sacrifice. You would think the people standing next to you who sacrificed, who you saw them sacrifice. But the thing is that, and how could he have prevented that? And this is going extra deep, but the only way the hero could have caught and wind to that is he would have said, how can you trust someone you don't know giving you information? What's their real goal? Am I going to go on a revolution off your anonymous source because you tell me that, like, who's this source?
Right.
And so the lesson is, don't trust nothing you can't confirm. Don't trust any sources just because someone you think is a good person tells you to trust them. Be discerning. And the only way you can truly have this discernment, in my opinion, is to know that you need a higher power, whatever that is. You need to know that you need help in a different realm. Otherwise, you're going to be able to, somebody's going to fool you. Because how could you question that guy? He literally had his fucking shit cut off, man.
Right.
You know, like, who does that? But remember when the guy said and had Kaufner,
right,
the
exactly.
true believer will go the extra mile. So the guy in the back was a true believer that this is the last train for humanity. We are the last hope for the continuity of the human species. And so I'm going to play my role and stay in the back for the whole time and live this shitty existence so people will believe me, so just so I can control people's social class. It's so deep, bro. You can watch the movie and still enjoy it without the spoilers.
That sounds really deep.
But, it's
deep.
We're
gonna try.
I don't even think you ruined it for me. Like I still want to see the whole thing.
You certainly didn't ruin it for me. Nah, because wait a minute. The series that was on TNT. It's based on that.
I never seen the series. No.
Okay, but all right. So basically, just watch the. Yeah, it was on.
Watch the movie. The spinoff is probably whack.
That's a crazy premise, but you know
that's
what?
Really deep.
Yeah. So
and it's even more pertinent now because of so much misinformation that's out there as well. But there's also ways to look. There's also ways to look into things your own way as well too. That's the other thing. But you just have to be smart, discerning. You got to look. You got to really think about. Think about the motivations, like you said, Seneca. The motivations of people is really important. And can't get carried away on either side of the political spectrum, either side of whatever the morality is of the group, because there's a lot of people who are misguided. They want to believe what they want to believe, but that's one of the big skills to have, I think, nowadays in our modern era, is to find out what is true and what's not true, and who can you trust and who can't you trust. That's one of the main skills I think we need now.
Yeah, we really do. We really do, especially in the era of AI.
Yes,
where like with deep fakes and all sorts of stuff.
Can't trust the media.
I've never been I've never seen like this is a lot of people don't realize, but just like Seneca said earlier, we are at war, folks.
Yes.
We are at war. I'm gonna have now. I'm gonna admit I don't know a lot about fifth generational war. I've done a very poor job of studying that stuff, but clearly you have, Sen. So my question to you is, in the time, I know we don't have much when our time is short with you, how did you come across like what got you interested in fifth dimensional warfare, and how can regular people protect themselves in this era?
Well, it's kind of I would say I've always been kind of sort of into it, being a kid reading Tom Clancy growing up. and I used to be. I thought I was going to be in special operations. I'm half deaf, so the military found out 1 year in the ROTC, but I was, getting. No, it's good. Most of my friends who I was with that stuff are dead, and I'm so crazy I would have been dead too with them. So I'm very happy.
in peace.
Yeah. Rest in peace. I'd rather be alive.
Happy to have you with us, man. You do
Exactly. I don't
We
need to-
really
I don't need to
are.
do all that.
We really are.
I didn't miss nothing. Especially since most of them now coming to terms that they did really bad things in the name of like when I say capitalism, I mean rich people. It wasn't for country. It wasn't for U.S. protection.
Yes.
It actually created enemies to make other people rich. And there's some remorse there, and there's a reason why you have such high suicide rates among not just veterans and combat veterans, but special operations. Our tip of the spear in people who have, incredible amounts of not just training, but they actually do hard things. So here's one of the things that they actually do. I'll give you one example.
Mm-hmm.
This village over here in Africa we need to pick a different warlord. And the warlord they have right now is not the warlord that's going to work with the country. And so we're just going to we're going to poison the water supply and sit back and wait and watch all of them get dysentery and stuff. And then we're going to send in some aid for them, and then they'll be dependent on us. So we're going to put the person in charge of that aid who we want to be in charge. That's fifth generation warfare.
Jesus.
Right?
Jesus.
The psyop, it's terrorism. It's
Manipulation.
very manipulative. We do that to other countries all the time.
Yeah.
That's what USAID was about.
Yeah. Soft
Yeah.
power, they call it, right? Yeah.
Soft power. My ass.
And so here's another one: open borders. We let in 10% of our population, and here's another. I'm trying to keep it consolidated. We don't. So you asked me when did I get into this? Let me take it back a little step. In 2018, April, I was a normal dude. I was a soggy. I was a progressive. Defund the police. I had a community garden because they've never been challenged. It was convenient, right? It was 2018. Think about it, right?
Yep.
I was also anti-big pharma, anti-war. All those things went together, right? Like the left was pretty theoretical at that point. It was cool, I had several people transition in my home. I had extra bedroom, and I was known to be a place where the trans community was safe. And my first festival company was combined with that queer party, which was the gay festival. To the fact that they demonized me for being anti-trans and gay because I don't think that children should be able to make permanent medical decisions and they 100%. Can't make informed consent. It's just they're evil. They're crazy. They want to fuck kids.
Totally
agree.
Amen.
You guys know some fucked up shit. I don't have a problem with adults. It's factual.
No,
I did it. Right? It's
totally
demonstrable. But anyway, let me not get off track.
Can't do that to children.
Here.
Children are too impressionable.
I had a fucking dream, bro. God. I got my Bible right here. I know I curse a lot, but ain't nothing in the Bible about curse.
Okay, we curse a lot over here too.
But
yeah, we do.
Oh shit, my camera's just. What did I do? I hit something. Hold on, guys.
It's all right. Take your time.
Real quick.
Go to hit start cam on the. There we go. You're back.
Okay.
And now you're flipped.
So, I got to do my whole. You can see the whole room. So
you're back.
It's back. So let me keep on with it. So I had a vision.
We smoking cigars in that. We smoking cigars in that room, bro. I'm not even gonna lie.
Drinking some whiskey.
I gotta have them dudes looking at me. You know what's funny? Before I tell the story, put a pause on the story. But check this out. And I said this earlier, but I lost the point. But it just came back up. Mm-hmm. You notice that all the sagas and people in government and all the NGOs, the people who work for the people in government, they love to cosplay as these Black Panthers and revolutionaries.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, I've noticed that.
None of these people work for the state. So the real revolutionaries were calling out the state for failing the people. So let's ask ourselves a few things. Is the state failing the people now? Yes. They have high crime. They have the same conditions that the Panthers were protesting. Education is still abysmal. We still have the same wealth disparity. All these same socioeconomic conditions for dissent exist in the same levels of intensity today.
That's right.
And so how do you give the state a pass now and think you're some kind of a revolutionary? It's such fucking bullshit. But anyway, I went
And
to
they're on the
sleep
size of the
one day.
corporations too, Seneca.
Yeah,
Right?
like-
That too. So the left is against the middle class and the working class. It seems
the
like
left
at this
is
point.
against, and not only that, just today, I heard earlier today, I heard a leftist say this, that it's more expensive, that peace is more expensive than war. I'm sorry. Yeah. That's what they fucking said. That's
But
what
I
this
thought
person
you care
fucking
about.
said.
I thought money doesn't matter.
Imagine this.
Because
Peace is more expensive than war.
I'm old enough to
That
remember
they
when they were
really-
anti-war, man.
This is the
those are the
left.
days.
Under the weight of
This
their own
is the left
contradictions.
now.
Those are the days, man.
It's
Now money
I
matters.
remember,
Now we need to save money. We need to go to war to save money. You didn't know?
right? We got to go to war to save money, and again, that's how you end up with $11,000 a month apartments in Queens. But Seneca, man,
So check it out. Here's
Please.
the story, and I'll make it pretty quick. So check this out. I go to sleep like a normal day. 10:30 at night. I normally wake up at 7:30. I wake up at 8 p.m. the next day. And I wake up, I wet the bed, and I wake up cold and shivering in the ball in my own urine. But in my dream, I was in a cave in Yosemite, and a week had passed. Like that book, Kindred. Remember Kindred by Octavia Butler? If you ever read it, definitely check it out. But I had a big and then it's not like a dream where, like, you're in high school, but you're at the same age, or you're at your parents. No, my life was identical. It wasn't a dream; it was a vision. And we had a grid down scenario. Now, to that point, I don't know firearms. I was a hippie. I was like awoke. Like I didn't think about none of this shit. I ain't had no guns, no food, no pepper shit, no nothing. But that week, and seeing the marauders and seeing the grid go down and seeing like my friends die and having to escape and like literally like fucking starving to death and shit, like it was all fucked up. So I woke up and became an overnight prepper. My friends thought I was crazy, but I didn't care. God gave me the vision, and I'm gonna start looking into what the fuck was that. Then I realized that the Carrington event in 1869, there was a geophysical event called the Carrington event. And it was the first event of its kind that we noticed because we had telegrams. And all the telegrams shorted out and all the electricity shorted out because there was a major solar flare. And it's the first time it ever happened that we know of. But if you actually research how many times have you seen northern lights at the equator and all that type of stuff, that happens every 100 to 200 or so, at most, no more than 300 years on recorded record. So we know it happens cyclical. We have sun that it's not on a clock, but the sun sometimes throws up, and that throw up of solar is enough to disrupt all of our electronic life. If the exact same event that happened in 1869 were to happen today, 90% of Americans would die in the next 6 months.
Oh my
God! That was a department done in 2018 by the Department of Homeland Security about grid down scenarios in the United States, either be through EMPs or cyber terrorism or a natural event. And so when I realized that, and then you realize that all this money that's being stolen somehow ends up in billionaires' hands building bunkers, people know that either a pole shift, a grand solar minimum, something bad which is too many things on the apocalypse board and too short of a time frame for when those things happen, that people are hedging their bet. And this is the reason why you can't explain why people are doing certain things. And let's say none of that happens. We have another thing called artificial intelligence creating useless eaters, in the words of these evil people who don't see the value in human life. So you need mass extinction events. You have to go the Georgia Guidestone that were recently destroyed that talked about limiting population. You have rich people who openly talk about limiting population. And then you have these, like the WEF talk about 15-minute cities and bike lanes. And then all of a sudden you have that exact same political stuff playing out with the people who they fund in your city. And it's hard to accept it because it's so crazy to accept that. It's like a matrix thing. If I accept that this is real and I start to do more research, and I don't mean confirmation bias, I mean nobody would debate me about it. No one will refute the data. because they don't want to even touch it, then you have to realize this is some dark stuff, and even talking about these things come with a level of danger. Like when it's time for that to be dangerous. This is why I don't trust Sean Ryan, and I like Sean Ryan, his show, but Tucker is right. Tucker's onto something with those questions. Like, bro, you CIA, why you get to talk about all this?
Exactly.
All of a sudden, you talk about all this stuff and interview all these people and go all over the world, and you get to break all the stories, and you get to be the one that gets, like, and all of a sudden you're the #1 podcast in the country. Nah, bro, that's the
He beat Rogan?
Shit.
He beat Rogan?
I don't know, whatever. He's number 2 or 1, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Where he come from?
Right. Whose man's is this? Whose man's is this, basically?
Who is getting the Snowpiercer? I don't know why my thing is doing it again.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's a lot, man. And yeah, I mean that it makes sense when you see like these billionaires and stuff and multimillionaires who kind of really continue to just hoard and hoard and hoard money. You wonder if they know something, or they're just like you said, hedging their bets, knowing that things could get hairy quick. Like all it takes is like the grid to be down for a couple of days or something like that, right?
Yeah, man.
So it's scary.
You know what? You can't have guns in New York. I got locked up in Queens. You from Queens? I got a Queens story. You want to? So I flew to New York for a wedding for my man Quelle Chris was getting married to Jean Grey. If you know those names, then they're great rappers and artists.
I know Jeannie.
Yeah,
I know Jeannie. Oh my God.
She lives in Baltimore now with Quelle. But I went to her wedding, and I flew in with the strap. So I flew in. This was like 2000 what was this? 2019. So I flew in with I fly with after my great awakening. I went there, I'm armed to the teeth. You see, I got the rifle behind me. I'm ready to go always, 24/7. And I went to the airport. I said, I'm flying to New York City. Here's my gun. The police find the little paperwork and shit. I fly to New York. I do my thing. I have fun. I'm flying back out. I try to check my gun. We'll check my firearm. It was like, okay, where's your law enforcement credentials? I'm like, I ain't got those. It was like, you know where you at? You in New York? You can't have no damn gun out here. I'm stupid as hell flying around with a gun, not knowing the laws of the. Anyway, that was an expensive lesson. So I got sent to Queens Central booking. I got an OR. I didn't have to even pay bail. I was on the flight like 7 hours later. But it cost me a few racks. I never got the gun back, but I beat the case. But it happens all the time. People fly there. Yeah, but
wow, that's crazy.
Central booking is not fun, let me tell you. But all I had to say was, they're like, what you doing here? Like, man, I got caught with a gun at the airport, and everybody leave you alone.
Man, I've known that is, that's the one thing. That's the one thing about this state that bothers the hell out of me, and it's just, and maybe it's just the 5 boroughs, because I don't know what they do upstate. I don't know what they do up in the Finger Lakes or in any of them other.
Upstate, you get money. You get money upstate. You can have guns.
So yeah. So like, I don't know what they do, but it incenses me that it's like the Second Amendment don't exist here. It's like criminals can have guns.
Mm-hmm.
Criminals can have guns. They can shoot people. They can, there's all sorts of criminality that's been jumping off here of late. But we can't. But we can't have a gun.
You know what that's called,
normal citizens. Yeah, it's called tyranny.
What's another word before the tyranny? Anarcho.
Go ahead. Anarcho. That's right. Anarcho tyranny. Because guess what? These same elected officials up here. Let me tell you. What do you know about Jumaane Williams?
I don't know nothing about none of these people in New York.
So
the dude running for mayor is all on my socials all the time, and he's doing a very good job of promoting himself. So I got to watch out.
Well, he's a social media candidate, and Zoran, but. I want to, but here's the thing about Jumaane Williams. Jumaane Williams is the sitting public advocate of the city of New York. Now, the public advocate really doesn't do anything. It's like it's another one of these useless elected positions here, like the borough president. The borough president don't do shit but run community, but pick and choose who's on community boards. Okay, but anyways, getting back to Jumaane Williams, you want to talk about one of the most useless people on planet Earth. First off, this dude is a slumlord. He don't like paying taxes. He's a property owner and a landlord, and keeps his properties like shit. So that's one thing. He's a woman beater, okay. And because New York City's charter is as screwed up as it is, this guy is second in line to become mayor if something happens.
Jesus.
Now,
Wow.
here's my point.
Cuomo?
No, Adams. So right
Adams
now,
up for re-election?
Eric Adams, yeah, and he's running as an independent. He running. What he running for? I don't know, but he's running. But he's running as an independent. They kicked his ass out of the Democratic Party too. Okay, so now. This dude, Jumaane Williams, again, the only purpose of the public advocate, deputy mayors cannot be, are not in line to become mayor if something happens to the mayor. But the public advocate is. And so this dude lives on an army base with his wife.
An army base?
Okay. Fort Hamilton. It's in Brooklyn. Fort Hamilton's in like Bay Ridge. And he rolls with more security than the mayor does. He got a 60-person staff and the whole bit. And all this motherfucker does is post about the Knicks and wake up at noon.
60 person staff.
You heard me, Seneca, 60.
Oh, y'all get employed in New
And
York.
he rolled with he rolls with more security than the mayor.
Y'all get employed. They're taking y'all tax money and just spending that shit like this.
And the public advocate position been around since 1993. The reason why I tell that story is because that is the kind of guy who would use NYPD. He's like, what he's doing is he's modeling the behavior of what these elites want to do. These elites want NYPD to be their own private security firm. That's what they want. They want total the narco tyranny. They want all the protection for themselves, while us, the John Q public, while we get to deal with all the crime and get to deal with all the rowdiness. And if we defend ourselves according to our First and Second Amendment, then we're the ones that get in trouble for it. Ask Daniel Penny.
Mm-hmm.
We in a lot of trouble. And
Big time.
And I've been talking about this for a while, and Seneca, I don't know how much more time we have with you, brother.
I do have to go, but
you gotta go. You are more than welcome to come back on this show at any time.
Yeah,
and brother, I really want you to. You have standing invite whenever you want to come back, brother, because we got to talk more about this.
Yeah, I think it's more. Yeah, we definitely got to get him on again soon.
We need a part two. We need a part two.
Yeah,
we do.
More about
we do.
What was it? Was it fifth wave?
Fifth generational warfare.
Fifth generation warfare. More about
Yeah.
that.
Oh
really
yeah, do some reading into that between now and then, just to see, like, it'll start to connect some dots as to this isn't like this is weaponizing competence. These people, they do put incompetent people in charge. Don't get me wrong. Progressives love some incompetent leaders, but the people behind them pulling the strings, they're not dumb. They know what they're doing.
People like George Soros.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he knows what he's doing. Big time.
Well, my brother, since you got to get ready to get up out of here, anything you want to promote? Again, thank you so much for coming on, but is there anything you want to promote while you're here? Anything you want to talk about? You mentioned something earlier. You're doing something with Maj Touré. But is
Freedom Fest is next Saturday. I mean, if you're going to be at Freedom Fest, you already coming. If you haven't booked a flight yet, you got to be a pretty rich person. I would say this. I don't need to plug. If your audience is New York, then you guys need help. So, as a political consultant, I'll say this. We do this for real. Remember the wolf in Pulp Fiction? That's me in politics. Y'all need to find somebody with some money to pay my retainer and have my team come out to New York and get you guys, help you shoot your way out from these people who have captured your city. New York City is probably the most difficult city to do politics in the country is New York City. Second would be Los Angeles. But New York is a different animal because of the boroughs. And because I have a lot of friends here, because I went to Cornell, I know a little thing or two. So if you're listening and you actually do have, you can fight back. We called mayors and DAs in Bay Area, California with very little money. It's not a money game. It's more about actually getting into the fight and getting into the arena. So thank you guys, both of y'all, for being you're in the media wars arena, right?
We here.
You're here. You're fighting it out. So you need to put together some organized resistance, and that organizing cannot ignore the issues of the working class.
Right.
No, the working class have and these issues are growing. Like I said before, all those new recruits who do the AI, or all these kids who imagine going to college and you about to get out, and then you getting out right now, and you got to go back. You got to go back to college. All this shit you learn is irrelevant now.
And how much debt? How much debt have you accumulated?
Jesus Christ!
College. They might as well call it prompt college, because all you're gonna do is prompt fucking AI and shit.
Yeah.
You can learn that in a year. You don't need to go to 4 years for that. So everything is being upended and disturbed. It's a very exciting time to be alive. So to close it out is to keep people grounded. There's a famous quote from Helen Keller that I think is a beautiful quote, and that is, security is largely a superstition. It does not exist in nature. Life is either a grand adventure or nothing. So have your grand adventure.
Right.
You can find me on X. You follow me on X. You see all the shit I do. None of it's that important. None of it's more important than you actually, as opposed to who's listening, getting involved in doing something to affect change in your community, on the school board, some type of local elected office, either helping someone get elected or doing something to help change your electorate and policy-making position, because ultimately those are the people who are controlling your taxpayer dollars, right? So you gotta play the game and take your city back, capture the flag, recapture the flag from Misogynist, and if you need help, holler at your boy. I'm here for you.
Yes, sir. And you know what, Seneca? I do have somebody in mind. So I will message you with his name, and that way we y'all can get together. But brother, this has been a very interesting time. It's a very inspiring show tonight. And brother, again, you are more than welcome on this show whenever you want to come back, especially about that 5th generation of warfare. So, Mr. Seneca Scott, ladies and gentlemen,
pencil me in for late July. Let's get it set. My bad. I interrupted you.
Well, hold on. That's got to be August.
It's got to be August. We got a full.
I'm getting married on the 26th, on July 26th. Thank you. Matter of fact, shout to my fiance, Corrine Robinson. The artwork behind me is actually some of her stuff. These here, she made these for me. Little bit of abstract of the flag of New York City.
Oh yeah,
nice.
The color, the blue, the orange, the blue, the white, the orange. Yeah, man. Yeah, she put that together for me.
That's real nice.
And so shout out to the love of my life, Corrine Robinson, baby. I love you. Thank you for everything.
Shout out to Corrine.
Seneca, my brother.
You the man, brother.
Thank you. More than welcome to come back, man. We learned a lot today.
Thank you, Isaiah Chavez. Peace, y'all. Y'all have a good one.
Yes, sir.
Doing great work, brother. You're doing great work.
Yo,
that was great.
That was fantastic.
That was one of the most interesting guests we've had, I think. I mean, I learned a lot. I want to learn more. I want to hear some more from this guy, honestly.
bruh.
That was interesting.
Bruh. I have never that's somebody I want on my team.
Oh yeah.
That's somebody. No, I mean that. That is someone who I want. I need that man in my circle.
Yes.
Okay, because and let me, and here's why I say that. That type of passion, that type of understanding, that type of discernment.
Yep.
As to where we are currently in our current moment, that's rare shit. That's a very, very, very rare thing to have these days, is discernment.
And he's a man of action.
Yes,
he actually
and
did
he's
something.
a man of action.
He actually did it. Said talked about it.
He did a few things. A few things.
That's great. I mean, it gives you hope, honestly. Like, that's one of the things that's great about this, about him and about Seneca Scott and his story. It's like he's like we're in trouble. New York City's in trouble. A lot of like cities are in trouble. But if you get somebody like him involved, or him and his team, you might be able to shoot your way out of it. That's very encouraging. You know,
because
so I wonder if we can make some connections to make that happen.
I think we listen. We're gonna have to
put some money together, go with the right people who might have a little bit of money to pay for Seneca and his people, and because we might have to anyways after this mayor election. That's for sure, man.
Shit. Today's his birthday? Oh.
Seneca's birthday?
No, today's James Lindsay's birthday.
Oh. Happy birthday, James.
No. Happy birthday, James.
Congrats on the Roseanne conversation too, man. That was a great clip I kept on sharing. It was really moving and spiritual little conversation. I gotta listen to the whole thing. I haven't listened to the whole thing yet. But that clip was great.
I'm looking for something. I'm looking for something specifically that I want to read, that I want to open up, that I want to talk about this, because he wrote something today. Matter of fact, I shared it with you. That's it.
Yeah, I shared it with you.
I shared it with.
I put it in I think I put it in the Twitter chat.
In the group chat.
In the Twitter chat. I think in our personal chat on Twitter. DM.
Okay.
I slid in your DMs, I believe.
Slid in my DMs. Jesus Christ.
Sorry, Josh.
Don't let it. I was gonna say, yeah. Because Josh.
Yeah, it's in there. It's in the Twitter DMs.
Yeah, here we go. I got it. Yep. I got it. So let me go ahead and share this, because I feel like in the last, well, because we still got a few. We still got another few minutes to go, but I want to share this. This is something that James wrote this morning. Or did he write this yesterday? Hold on. Let me see when he wrote this. He wrote this. No, June. No, he wrote it this morning. Morning. And here goes. I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna read the whole thing from start to finish, because the one thing we didn't touch on was what's happening right now in Los Angeles.
That's right.
Before I start this, though, I just want to give my prayers and my deepest concern for the men and women in law enforcement out there, and also the men and women of ICE and all other federal agencies out there who are putting their bodies and putting their bodies, their safety, and their lives on the line in the face of true communist terror. And I have used this term before. We are currently, ladies and gentlemen, in the midst of what I have called the Great American Marxist Crash Out. That's what you're seeing in the midst of all of that. That's what you're seeing right now here in New York, in Los Angeles right now. What you are seeing are Maoists, Mexican Maoists primarily out there in Los Angeles. Mexican Maoists, a little bit of white Maoists, of course, and then you have Maoists of all kinds. We were talking about violent, red guard, street animal communism going on right now, where they are working. This is what's called a direct action. Okay. Get familiar with the terminology. This is a direct action, and they are waging war against the federal government. Hi, Tazex. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you. So with that, I'm going to segue into what James wrote this morning. So here I am for the second time in a few days, urging you to stay calm even while something wild goes on. Staying calm in crisis is the mark of civilization. You are not a beast. You're a human being. Master yourself. What's going on in Los Angeles is well within the jurisdiction and powers of the federal government to intervene upon and deal with. The mayor of Los Angeles and governor of California will very likely end up having to stand by while federal law enforcement takes care of an uprising and foreign invasion. Though they'll be subversive and passive-aggressive and communist about it, federal law enforcement is well within its jurisdiction, and President Trump is not a man to be trifled with. Amen to that. What is unhelpful in the extreme is you, in your frustration and anger that this is happening again, not, quote, being allowed to happen, seeing as Trump sent the National Guard, radicalizing. Call for the law to be enforced. Call for the law to be enforced strictly and firmly. Call for those complicit in the obstruction of law enforcement to receive full prosecution under federal law. Call for those who enabled this uprising to be held to account. Yes, call for all of this, but do so without losing your mind to your base passions. Simultaneously, pay attention to those who are asking you to lose your mind to your passions. Pay attention to those who are trying to propagandize and agitate you now. Those ironic World War II propaganda posters are a good hint. Think twice before sharing them. Pay attention to those saying our country, our Constitution, or whatever has failed. Learn who these men are and understand what they are. Seditious enemies of the United States and you and your children's futures. Right-wing Leninism will not solve left-wing Leninism. It just leaves us with Leninists in charge, at which point their specific values don't matter much or won't for long. Keep your head. Demand the United States defend itself by using those laws and powers it has to the fullest extent. Remember that we have the harder job, a narrower way. We must maintain civilization while we stop those who would destroy it. Resist every invitation to win by destroying it ourselves. Arrest, arrest, arrest. Prosecute, prosecute, prosecute. Deport, deport, deport. Use whatever legal force is necessary, but do not burn this country down in radicalism. Compare the two images below. Are you the guy? Are you this guy? Hold on. Are you the guy on the left, but in reverse? Or are you the guy on the right who will actually solve the problem? You can choose. You can only choose one. That's what we're dealing with. And shout out again to James.
That was great.
Lindsay, that was fantastic.
That was brilliantly written. That's so important, man. I mean, because like it is so easy to get people get carried away with their emotions, man, when they see these images. I want to see these people, beaten up sometimes. I want to see people getting punished for this stuff. And some of them do deserve it. And some of them are gonna have to get beaten up because they're attacking police. So I mean, what else are you gonna do?
Exactly.
But he's right. We should be demanding everything's done within the scope of the law. We should be demanding everything's done constitutionally, defendable in the law. You don't want to push so hard that you're asking for, fascist type things or violence that's it's too extreme, it's unwarranted. So that's the kind of, or like deporting people who are citizens, or just start killing people when you don't necessarily need to. I mean, if the crowd attacks the police and their lives are in danger, then maybe they would have to do that, right? So that's reasonable. But I think that's what he was asking for, and also not to get overly racist, not to get against Latino people or Mexicans, or hate Mexicans and stuff, because a small group of people are acting like assholes. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of stuff I think James Lindsay's asking for. It's like we gotta avoid the collective blame, like the Leninists do, like the leftists do. And he's right. He's absolutely right, because what happens is that's the only way to keep the higher moral ground. That's the only way for us to not lose the next election. That's the only way for us to not have another January 6th moment where they point at that for years, saying, "Oh my God, look at these guys! They're trying to take over overturn the election and trying to kill all the senators." Don't give them that ammo. Just let the law enforcement and let the National Guard or whoever gets in there, let them do their jobs. That's it. And don't hate an entire. Don't hate an entire country, an entire race of people, whatever, even the whole Democratic Party for that. Because, obviously not all of them are responsible. It's just these people, these generally leftist, Antifa type people, communists.
I'm going to add to that.
Yeah.
And here's why I'm going to add to this, because see, Jesse Kelly, shout out to Jesse Kelly and his show and the Jesse Kelly show. Shout out to him. He said this a while ago, and he says it regularly, and I'm gonna echo his sentiment here. Violence is not what the communist does. It is who he is. Now, the reason why I say that, the reason why I'm saying that is this. I want those people punished according to the law and according to the Constitution of the United States. I do. I want these people dealt with. I remember, because we had this conversation earlier this week, you and me. Because you and I, and if you feel comfortable talking about this publicly,
sure,
while we're on air, you had talked to me about my rhetoric being too, I guess, violent in a way. And that was when I made that video where I was talking about striking a balance. And I don't want to misrepresent anything you say. So you said,
sure.
And I struggled with that. I struggled with finding that balance, because on the one hand, I want the Constitution of the United States defended and enforced. I want the laws of this land defended and enforced. These people have no right. These illegals have no right to be here. And what's worse, they especially do not have the right to be here while they wave the flags of the countries they came from. They are openly not only flouting the law, but they have coalesced into what resembles a foreign invasion. So I want the laws of this country enforced. And apparently the Democrat Party have forgotten how to do that. Now, here's where I'm going to add to what James said. We need to be prepared ourselves as citizens. I'm not advocating violence. I'm not advocating vigilantism either. But if there's one thing that I know, if it's one thing that I have come to understand, the more these communists get unhinged, the more they start to feel themselves and feel that they can get away with shit, they're going to start attacking regular people. They're going to break into some people's homes. They're going to start going through. We saw this take place earlier in the year when free Palestine, watermelon communists went all up and through Borough Park and Crown Heights and all sorts of shit looking to start something with Jews.
Mm.
And they got fucking dealt with. Because the line was crossed, right? These people went up into neighborhoods at night with shouting free Palestine, looking to mess with Jews. It was almost like a Kristallnacht.
Yeah.
They were looking for Kristallnacht that night.
Mm.
And they got fucking dealt with by citizens in their neighborhood. Now, again, I'm not advertising violence. I'm not advocating for violence. I'm not advocating for vigilantism. What I am advocating for is self-defense and being prepared for when one of these people decide they want to take out their frustrations at the system, their frustrations on the government, on you.
Yeah, I mean, who can disagree with that? You got to be prepared.
You have to be prepared, ladies and gentlemen. I don't give a fuck what anybody says out here. These are violent times. These are the times when people want the ability to fight, to hurt you without any type of repercussions. I don't advocate for violence, but I understand that violence in many, many, many cases is necessary. It is a necessary thing.
Yeah, and it's also necessary. I mean, like you said, the plenty of these leftist rioters and protesters are throwing things at the police, pushing the police, maybe doing other things to the police, using rocks. I mean, what are you going to do? Like, what do you expect police to be? Punching bags? Do you expect them to just sit there and just feel bad for them and feel bad for the rioters who are upset and just get pummeled with rocks and stuff? No, they're gonna have to strike back physically. So, and I saw, I'll tell you what, I saw a Mexican. I reposted it yesterday. I think it was like a Mexican American woman with her child who was probably like 1 or 2 years old, something like that. And I think he had pepper spray in his eyes, and they took a picture of it, and the left is going wild with it, being like, "Oh my God, they're pepper spraying babies or some shit." And it's like, look, you stupid fucks. Clearly, you bring your child to a riot, when you're going against the SWAT team or whatever of LAPD, and the big group of people where people are going nuts. Clearly, they want some kind of conflict. And you bring your child, your baby, that's your fault. That's the mother's fault. It's the parent's fault. That's the only person's fault it is.
Exactly.
You don't bring a baby to that. That's
you do
no
not
place for
bring
a baby
to that.
It's honestly no place for a freaking woman, probably either. Honestly, for the most part, even
you
men,
do not bring a baby.
Even men, it's like this is dangerous, especially if you're dealing with a bunch of. Even if you came to respectfully protest. And just peacefully protest. Even if you came there to do that, you don't know what everybody else is around you's going to do.
Exactly.
There's some crazy leftists around here, crazy Antifa people, some gang members. Some people are just drunk. Some people are high on drugs. Some people just want to get involved and just don't like the cops. Some people are looking for ways to just destroy something and loot because they're fucking, just like the Joker says, they want to watch the world burn. There's plenty of people like that in these kind of things, and you bring your baby, and then the left is sitting there crying about, oh, how could this happen? It's fascism. It's like, no, it's bad parenting. That's all that was. Keep your goddamn kids at home.
Well, I remember I actually watched something. I watched one of Decoy Voice's videos. Shout to Decoy Voice. I watched a video of his where he was talking about how at best you brought this baby because you didn't have anywhere else to take that baby, but at the worst, you were using that baby as a prop.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like Hamas.
Because yeah, exactly. They do. Yeah. Them Hamasheviks do that shit. Well, they'll bring a child. They will have a dead baby and screaming on camera and crying about, you know, the evil Israeli, the evil Jews killed my child, and they do this intentionally. It's a savage culture.
Worse than that.
It is right, even worse.
They put their bases in schools. They put their bases, their weapons, or where they operate.
Entire tunnel networks under
schools, civilian freaking apartment buildings, wherever, like where there's definitely going to be kids in there. You know, so. And they do it on purpose. I mean, that's what I've been told.
They voted for that shit. Yeah, so. They voted for that. When they put Hamas in as the governing body in 2011, I think it was, and I guess an effort to moderate themselves in the eyes of in the international international community, it was an insult. So I'm going to say this. And a matter of fact, it's 2 things, 2 points I want to make. One, defend yourselves at all times out there, people, especially if you're living in an urban center. Defend yourself, protect yourselves and your families and your property at all times.
Fiercely, if you have to. Protect yourselves. You hear it in every fight, every boxing match, every MMA fight. Protect yourselves at all times. These are very, very, very violent times, and you must be prepared for it. So that's the first thing I'm going to say. And it does not matter if any of these people decide that they want to struggle you on the street corner, defend yourself. Do not let these street animals fuck with you in any way. Defend yourselves. Do what you have to do. And the second thing I want to point out, the second thing I want to say, women, ladies, I love you. But I'm going to take the Steven Crowder route here. This generalization of violence has to end. There's a difference between committing violence in an act in terms of duty, and there's a difference between violence in the name of duty and frivolous violence that doesn't make any sense or does not have any that's only to destroy. And this generalization of violence is wrong. Avoidance of violence. Avoiding violence is fine, but again, I take the Ecclesiastes route, that there is a time and a place for everything. And there are indeed certain levels of violence that protect our way of life. And the men and women in uniform right now in LA are currently engaging in that right now. So I don't want to hear. So if a man has to protect you, if we as men have to protect you, you need to let us do what we need to do. And I'm saying that with all the love all the love and compassion I can muster, while being very, very serious at the same time. The communists again, violence is not what the communist does. It is who he is. These are people who are at war with their very existence. They believe that their existence on earth is something that the demiurge put them in. They are at war with God. They are at war with God. And they believe that the God who they really serve, the only one who they can truthfully serve, is themselves. These people want to hurt you. They want to destroy the Constitution of the United States. They want to destroy everything and leave a world where they have everything and we have nothing.
They don't believe in borders. They believe we should all be global citizens. As I stated earlier, these people believe that peace is more expensive than war. Understand the depravity, the wickedness of the human mind who concocted that, who put that in a curriculum, and who put that in a fucking university curriculum. Maintaining peace is more expensive than war. What? Those are who we have to deal with. Final point, and then I'm gonna give you. I'll let. I want to play this real quick because I think this has a lot to do. Maxine Waters, the congresswoman, the longtime congresswoman from California, United States congresswoman. This has got to be one of the most evil people in our government right now. Lady is 80 some years old, tottering around the war zone that is her constituency. And this post from Nick Sortor. Nick, if you ever see this video, this video, dude, please tell me, how do I pronounce your last name correctly? But he posted this earlier this afternoon, 397 views, 397,000 views rather. He said, just in, Representative Maxine Waters just demanded the United States give citizenship to illegal rioters in Los Angeles. And
what?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
It's not here.
Hold on. Let me make sure this is, I'm gonna play all this.
Oh
I want to make sure. I want to make sure our viewers hear this shit. Congresswoman, please commence embarrassing yourself.
Where the guns are. I want y'all to take pictures of these guns and let people know that they're in our city with guns, and I'm sure they have orders to shoot and kill. I don't know, but otherwise they wouldn't have guns.
One question, Representative Ms. Waters, if there's one statement or a message that you can send to Donald Trump, what is that message here today?
My message to Donald Trump is you are a cruel human being, and that you're using the poorest people in the land, the most vulnerable people in the land, to promote your politics. You are wrong. We know what this is all about. We have people who are immigrants here who are trying to seek a better living, who have come from places where they have experienced this kind of thing that he's doing here today. People who work every day, people who are paying taxes, who are raising their families, who are supporting education. They should not be treated this way. They should be given an opportunity to tell their story, whom they are, and why they're here, and ask the United States to please do what the Constitution allows us to do, and that is give them consideration for having citizenship here.
And there it is. That right there is what these people, that is what the powers that run this world, the powers that run the Democrat Party want. Full amnesty for every single one of those people who they marched into this country. Again, as I have talked about on many occasions, as you've no doubt seen, the plan for these people was always to get them into the country, grant them citizenship, and make them the permanent underclass, for not just the purpose of votes, but also the purpose of congressional seats. Congressional seats was what this was always about. Because if they get the congressional seats, that means more representation. And of course, the blue states, the Democrat-run states, were going to have more. These ladies and gentlemen, the congresswoman from California just told y'all what time it is. These people want a permanent hegemony. That's what this is about. This is about bringing in there are clips out here of a woman, a Hispanic woman, if I remember correctly. See if I can find that. A Hispanic woman who said that, and she was referring to like senior care workers, said that we won't have enough people to wipe our asses.
Oh yeah.
We won't have enough people to wipe our asses. Do you realize, again, this is the entitlement. They thought these people legit thought that we're going to bring these people in. They're going to pick our crops. They're going to deliver our Thai food. They're going to give, we're going to get everything we want from them. And all we have to do is just feed them, clothe them, and give them money. And they're going to vote for us forever. What are your thoughts about this, bro? Because
they need to import people to wipe their asses. That's what these people are to them. They're people who are, Latino immigrants or immigrants from wherever. They're the people who are gonna, I guess, wipe their asses when they're old, because a lot of them probably don't even have. They're not gonna have kids or grandkids. So, that's usually who does that kind of thing for you. But yeah, they're not going to have that, and they're gonna and these people just represent cheap labor, really, but they're the compassionate ones. I will say this, man, to add on to what you were saying, and your segue with Maxine Waters is perfect. I think people need to stop voting in people and supporting a party or any party that's going to introduce so much chaos into our country and into the West, so much subversive chaos, like having so many illegal immigrants, and then people who just don't want to follow the law. Then people are gonna, seem to be more loyal to their old countries than they are to America, and people don't want to assimilate. And then people who, they'll let in people from China, thousands of people from China. China's obviously hostile towards us, right? China's a communist country. They are looking to dominate the globe. They want to be number one, clearly. And you're just going to let in thousands of them, millions of them. How many crossed the border? I think in 1 year, I think it was like 20,000 or something like that, were like young, military-aged men, Chinese men. Do you think all of them are just coming in to make Chinese food or something, or do some kind of blue collar work or white collar work? I mean, some of these people are spies. Some of these people might be terrorists. Some of these people might be bringing in bioterrorist fungus. Why are we continuing to elect and trust people who, just like Seneca just said, are just totally fleecing us with our tax dollars, just totally enriching themselves, being completely negligent with what their duties are, and then they're also letting in anybody. They want open borders. They call you a racist and a bigot if you are against that or concerned about that at all. And it's like they just want to give the country away and just destroy it. I mean, it's really, you don't have a country if you don't have borders. You don't have a country if you don't have some sort of attachment to the laws and to our whatever our American culture and values are and the Constitution. What do we have? We just have a place to exploit. We're just letting people, the whole world, exploit us. So realize who's doing this. I mean, I know Republicans aren't innocent, but some of them are corrupt. Some of them are letting this stuff happen as well. But this is like the mission statement of the Democrats now, as you can see from Maxine Waters, you see from Gavin Newsom. They're trying to act like it's some kind of fascist Trump protecting the city of LA and enforcing the law as like some kind of fascist power move or whatever. It's like it's horseshit. This is just enforcing the law, and some people shouldn't be here. And you can't be blocking the highways or whatever the hell they're doing, or throwing things at police or looting places. I mean, and I hope he really, I just want to say, I hope he really clamps down on Antifa across the country, because I know they're going to be popping up, and I hope like they need to see jail time. A lot of these people, like serious jail time, so they learn, not catch and release shit. They need to go see some time and realize that there's consequences to breaking things, destroying public and private property, to stealing from people, from attacking police, from attacking conservatives that might be counter protesting. It's like, no, these people need to see some serious jail time and get criminal records. That's it.
I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. And see, this stuff right here. See, I'm gonna show you this. So I talked about this. I talked about this a while ago. Somebody said what I couldn't, but I'm gonna show you this. Another thing from Nick Sordor. Okay, this is what they're doing right now in Los Angeles.
What are they gonna do with these big rocks? Oh my goodness. Who are they throwing those rocks at?
Look.
These things are huge. Yeah, I mean, there you go. I mean, then you wonder why these guys are getting deported and getting their ass kicked. Getting prison.
See, you know what? At the risk of losing, I believe it should be legal to take them out. Civilians. I believe it should be legal. Here's what I'm saying. If I as a regular citizen,
they can kill people like that. So I mean,
if I see someone, and I'm just saying this, if I see someone breaking up sidewalks or concrete stanchions to create projectiles to throw at cops, I believe it is your duty as a citizen to take that person out. I do. I'm not even gonna. Reason being, they're putting people in harm's way.
Yeah,
I wish
there is a real moral argument for that.
There is an actual moral argument for it, and I don't want to shy away from this. I don't, because in all sincerity, either we have a country or we don't. Either we are a nation of laws or we are not. Either we are a civilization or we are not. That is not civilized behavior. That is a communist taking over. That is someone who wants to kill police or kill someone else.
Yeah, I mean, those are huge rocks, man. I mean, throwing them from a bridge, if it hits somebody's head, that can kill them easily. I mean, if it hits their head, they will probably die, almost certainly. So, and then on top of that, even if they don't kill anybody, like, they could really injure people. They could destroying public property that we pay for, the LA pays for, or whatever. Federal, I'm sure we pay for it as well from federal taxes. They probably get federal help. It's like, and some of these guys probably are actual immigrants that are illegal immigrants that have no right to be here, and they're doing that. It's like that is like a foreign. That becomes like a foreign invasion in a way. It becomes like a foreign adversary on our soil, attacking our police. I mean, I don't know what the difference is. I don't know what the difference is. So, they're gonna, they're playing with some serious fire, and I think Trump needs to come down really hard on them. I hope. National Guard does, whoever's leading that is a Hegseth, whoever. They need to come down hard on these people, and if you're doing things that are threatening the lives of police or anybody else, it's like, don't be surprised if the police and the soldiers or National Guard do some things that's going to threaten your lives. I mean, that's just how it is. Like it becomes like a war.
We are in some very, very. We got to stay calm. We got to stay vigilant. We have to defend ourselves, and again, I'm not advocating for anything like that.
Yeah, hopefully nobody gets hurt, but that's not going to be the case.
Praying,
a huge group of guys throwing rocks at cops, like a giant bolt, like they're almost boulders, like they're small boulders, like they're bigger than softballs. It's like,
and I'm gonna say this too. Because I know we gonna get out of here in a little bit. Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass,
totally out of control, man. That state,
the Governor Gavin Newsom, Newscum, and Karen Venceramos Brigada Bass. No, dead ass.
She Latina?
She's not, but she trained with Venceramos Brigada in Cuba.
Oh, that's right.
Referred,
yeah, that's like a Marxist group, right?
Referred to Fidel.
Yeah.
Referred to Fidel Castro as El Presidente.
Ugh, goodness.
Matter of fact, let me see if I can find this while we're talking about this, because
Jeez, man,
someone found something about her ties with this oh god, she had ties to another group, and I can't remember which one it was. Someone in the chat, if you can answer that question. But Karen Bass had ties to some other communist organization. This woman is a problem. And matter of fact,
yeah, just ask the Palisades,
bro. You know what?
Just ask the Palisades where the houses are.
Yeah, there's
Venceramos Brigade, yeah.
Venceremos Brigada, but there's something else. Like there's a video of her. Here we go. This drove me crazy.
Line of march.
I want you to pay, bro. I want you to pay very close attention to this video. Oh, you're looking it up. I want you to pay close attention to this video real quick, Nose. Hold on a second. Oh, this is the wrong one. Here we go. Shit, this tab instead. Yeah, I want you to see this. I asked a very simple question. Why is this woman smiling?
Oh yeah.
Look at this lizard. Look at this.
Outrage that this has happened. Of course, what happened here, I think, was probably the worst. There were a number of locations where ICE raided today, and to me, when these things happen, it sows a sense of terror in the community. It's bad enough that it happened at this location, but the way this goes and spreads throughout the community, then people are not sure where they're safe.
The fuck are you smiling for? The fuck is this bitch smiling for?
Yeah, just like Gavin, man. When Gavin was dancing around when they're asking about the fires.
What is that? What is that? That is the creepiest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Complete lack of empathy, man.
Jesus Christ. I'm about to go full Jamaican in here. I had to get cut and I rebuke that in the name of Jesus. That is ridiculous. The fact she's smiling, talking about the destruction. That is evil shit. That is evil. Smiling in the face of destruction. These people are, dude. I have never in my life, like watching that video again, the glee on that woman's face as her city burns for the second time in 6 months. Think of that. The second time in 6 months. It was fires. It was fires a few months ago, and now it's fires being set in the street by savages and illegal immigrants that are probably organized. I wonder how much of a fucking cut she got. Anyways, I think that's,
they love chaos, man. I think everybody with a brain and eyeballs can see that. Democrats love some chaos, some violence, some crime, lack of borders, illegal immigrants, unvetted people in your country. They love it, man. They're all about it. I mean, how many times you got to see it across the country? So that's what you're into.
Yeah. I'm gonna just say this, and this is matter of fact, this is the end of our show, but I'm gonna end it on this note. There's something that was written, another thing that was written today. I want to do two things real quick. Geiger Capital wrote this. Well, he shared this today, and I don't know. Let me see if it's showing here. Pull this up.
My boy Hamilton, man, he's in the background of my thing. I love Hamilton.
Yeah, I'm gonna read this real quick. Alexander Hamilton, a founding father of the United States and an immigrant himself, literally warned us about future leaders allowing mass immigration. Reads as if he wrote it today. Quote, the consequences that must result from a too unqualified admission of foreigners. The safety of the republic depends essentially on the energy of a common national sentiment, on a uniformity of principles and habits, on the exemption of the citizens from foreign bias and prejudice, and on that love of country which will almost invariably be found to be closely connected with birth, education, and family. The mass influx of foreigners must, therefore, tend to produce a heterogeneous compound, to change and corrupt the national spirit, to complicate and confound public opinion, to introduce foreign propensities. In the composition of society, the harmony of the ingredients is all important, and whatever tends to a discordant intermixture must have an injurious tendency. The United States have already felt the evils of incorporating a large number of foreigners into their national mass. It has served very much to divide the community and to distract our councils by promoting in different classes different predilections in favor of particular foreign nations and antipathies against others. It has been often likely to compromise the interests of our own country in favor of another. To admit mass foreigners indiscriminately to the rights of citizens, the moment they put foot in our country, would be nothing less than to admit the Trojan horse into the citadel of our liberty and sovereignty.
Very well said, Colonel Hamilton. That's basically what I mean. I feel like he kind of just said a lot more eloquently what I just said about 20 minutes ago. You can't just fill up a country with people who, a lot of them have, first of all, a lot of them just want to exploit the country. Some of them are gang members, some of them are traffickers, some of them are from adversarial foreign places, some of them are Marxists and socialists. Some of them are just sex offenders and stuff. Like, we don't even know who they are, right? So exactly what Hamilton was saying there was that you start to, and I don't know if do you know the historical context of that, Isaiah, of him saying that?
Not fully, but go ahead.
I would assume this was him talking during like the Alien and Sedition Acts, talking about France, any French people that were in the country, because France was, and I think it was Ambassador Genet, I think, came down to him and General President Washington, and he was the Secretary of Treasury at the time, and Jefferson was the Secretary of State. Jefferson was very pro-France at the time, and he was just spent a lot of time in France. He was very close with King Louis, and then in King Louis's court, at least. And he became friends with I think the revolutionaries too afterwards. And he was a revolutionary guy. But Jefferson, in a lot of ways, he had a lot in common with Marxists, but he was also very big on liberty. So it's kind of a weird thing. Anyways, I think if this is what he was, unless this is from the Federalist Papers, which means it would be in the 1880s, 1780s, I believe. Late 1780s, probably. But I'm assuming this was during the time when the French Genet was coming, and they were trying to get Americans to join the war against England and France, because France helped us, we should go help them. And America was at the time very fragile, right? It's the first administration, we had a lot of debt, And Hamilton advised that we should be thinking about ourselves right now. We need to make sure we're not getting in another war with Britain. We just made peace with them. They're a lot stronger than we are. We don't have that much money. We're just getting things together right now. We're just establishing an international credit. We're just establishing like our national identity and all of our institutions. Like we don't need to be going to war with Britain right now. France, we need to do what's best for us. France is fine. France has been around forever. France could take care of it. The French people felt betrayed. There's a lot of people who were split, like Jefferson was one of them. He thought, well, we should help out France. This is our revolution. We're going to help them. They helped us. And the French, and there's a lot of probably some Americans who felt the same way. And Hamilton and Washington wisely were like, no, we got to look out for ourselves. We got to look out for ourselves. We got to make sure this experiment doesn't fail in the cradle. And he was right. He was right. And I think that's what that was about. So he's like, we got to be careful who we let in the country. We got to be careful that we don't have so many Frenchmen or something like that it sways the democracy. It sways what we do. And then maybe we get carved up by England and France. Like we just weren't strong enough yet. So that's what that was. I'm assuming that was what was going on with this speech here. This probably an article or letter he wrote.
Yeah.
He was very prolific. He wrote a lot of shit. I got a couple books of Hamilton over there in the back. I read some of them. Turnouts actually I read. It's not back there, but I also read.
I actually have that book.
Brookhiser. I read Brookhiser's as well.
Like Ron Chernow's like real
the big
book.
That's what they based the Hamilton musical on.
Loosely.
Yeah,
loosely.
I was the Hamiltonian back in high school, way before that musical came out. And I did enjoy the musical, but I was a Hamiltonian before it was cool.
I got a funny story about that book because I actually, me being, I'm gonna tell you the story off air because that's quite an interesting story. But that's our show tonight. Before we go, I just have to say a word of prayer again for the men and women of law enforcement. For the men and women of the California National Guard out there, we want to pray that the Lord keep those men and women safe as they execute their duties according to the Constitution of the United States, as they restore law and order to that land. We pray. We do pray. I don't do this often, but I am asking for God's mercies on those people, on the men and women in uniform tonight, as they defend our country and as they defend the people of the city of Los Angeles who did not ask for this.
Yeah,
we pray that we don't. I want to offer those prayers tonight.
Sure, I agree.
Thank you again for joining us this evening. We really appreciate all of the support that you give us. Again, you can support our efforts at buymeacoffee.com/apostate radio. Yes, we are the new media. We are the media now, but the media takes money. So and if it helps,
I still need new drawers, man.
Yeah, you still need new drawers.
I'm wearing drawers with holes in them right now. No joke. I think it's the last time I got to wear these. I think I'm gonna toss them in the trash when I'm done. But just so you know, I'm not lying.
Are they Rosie O'Donnell's old?
No, they don't. I mean, I guess they have dick. I have a dick hole in mine as well. But yeah, I'm talking about butthole holes.
Oh my God!
Rosie O'Donnell was underwear with dick holes in them. Hey.
Oh my God!
I was dying when I first heard that, man. Back in the day.
Same.
2003, 2004, whenever that was. 2004, probably.
Yeah. Like that was the greatest sketch show of all time, and then Chappelle turned out $45 million. Shout to Dave Chappelle, who is a hero, a national hero. You can follow us at Apostate Radio NY, and then of course you can follow us individually. We talk shit. We take out commies. At least I do, anyways. Nos is definitely more of the Phyllis. Well, you're the sage between the two of us. You're the sage, and you're the sage, and I'm the sword, partner. That's all I can say.
Hey man, I got a sword myself though. I got a sword.
Yeah,
we both
do.
got swords, both sword carrying.
You do.
And we both got wisdom too, brother. Like but it's, you know, it also depends. Nobody's always gonna be even keeled, and I get pissed off sometimes too, man. And I'm not a pacifist, and I'm not overly empathetic, honestly. Like, and I'm more empathetic about law-abiding citizens, and you know, I'm more worried about them and what they go through. You know, and
I am too.
What my family and friends might go through because we let some crazy person in the country that hates us. You know,
amen.
So
that's our show tonight. And one last thing. Fuck Pablo Maurer. That's our show tonight. Have a great night, folks.
Get another tattoo, Pablo. I think you have some space on your kneecap.
Yeah, get a bigger dilator, you fucking. Anyways, good night, everybody.
Have a good night.